Space is vast, endless, and filled with wonders beyond imagination. But for all that we've discovered, the universe still holds secrets that defy explanation. Stars that vanish without a trace, signals from the depths of space that pulse with eerie precision, planets where something or someone might be watching. What else is out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting to be found? These stories aren't science fiction. These are real, documented mysteries that astronomers and physicists still struggle to understand. From unexplainable lunar anomalies to deep space signals that seem almost intentional. Today we're diving deep into the strangest and most chilling unsolved mysteries of the cosmos. So sit back, relax, and prepare to journey into the unknown, where the laws of physics blur, reality bends, and the universe itself keeps its secrets well hidden. It was a star, unlike any other, a luminous blue variable, a rarity among the cosmos, a celestial giant burning hundreds of times brighter than our sun. For decades, astronomers had been observing it, tracking its fluctuations in brightness, watching as it ejected vast amounts of material into the void. These types of stars are unstable, prone to violent outbursts, but they all follow a predictable cycle, growing, shedding, dimming, and eventually exploding in one final, spectacular supernova. But then, something happened that no one could explain. It disappeared, not dimmed, not obscured, gone. The star, which had been catalogued in a distant dwarf galaxy some 75 million light-years away, had been under observation for years. Researchers had noted its dramatic shifts in luminosity, watching as it went through its turbulent phases. It was the kind of star that would make a fantastic supernova candidate, something that when it finally met its end, would send a shockwave of energy rippling through the universe. And then, in 2019, when a team of astronomers using the Very Large Telescope in Chile turned their instruments toward the star to check on its status, they were met with something impossible. The star wasn't there. It hadn't exploded. It hadn't faded into the background. It had simply ceased to exist. At first, there was denial. The scientists combed through their data, convinced that it had to be some sort of observational error. Maybe they had pointed the telescope at the wrong coordinates. Maybe there was interference. Maybe, just maybe, this was some freak equipment malfunction. But no matter how many times they recalibrated, no matter how many other telescopes they used to confirm, the answer remained the same. The star, a massive celestial body that should have taken millions of years to burn out, was gone. So, what happened? The most logical explanation was that it had gone supernova in the brief period between observations. After all, these stars do eventually collapse in a final act of cosmic violence. But there was a problem with that theory. If it had exploded, there should have been remnants, a glowing cloud of debris, a neutron star, or even a black hole. There was nothing. No X-ray bursts, no lingering light, no signs of a massive explosion at all. A supernova isn't something that just gets overlooked. It's one of the most energetic events in the universe, something bright enough to outshine an entire galaxy for weeks if not months. And yet, there had been no recorded evidence of such an event. The star had not gone supernova. It had just blinked out. Then came another theory. Perhaps an enormous dust cloud had drifted between the Earth and the star, obscuring its light from our view. That would explain why it had seemed to disappear. If something massive had blocked its light, it could still be there, just hidden from us. But that theory also fell apart quickly. For one, such a dust cloud would have to be perfectly positioned, thick enough to completely block the light of something millions of times brighter than our own sun. And even if that were the case, the star's infrared radiation should still have been detectable. Even behind a dust cloud, some amount of light should have been reaching us. It wasn't. The next explanation was even stranger. What if the star had collapsed directly into a black hole without going supernova first? This would be an unprecedented event, one that defied our current understanding of astrophysics. The standard model tells us that a star of this size must go through a final explosion before it can form a black hole. That explosion is what allows the core to collapse, sending shockwaves outward, dispersing the outer layers of the star. But what if, for some reason, that explosion never happened? What if this star had somehow bypassed that step, folding in on itself silently, with no outward energy release, no visible remnant, just a sudden and absolute erasure from existence. It would mean that something is missing from our understanding of how stars die, that there is a way, an unknown mechanism, by which a star can completely vanish into the abyss, undetectable, unnoticed, an entire world swallowed by the darkness. But even that theory came with problems. A black hole should still have some kind of signature. It should warp the space around it. It should pull in surrounding matter, generating X-rays as it feeds. But in the location where the star had once burned, there was nothing. No gravitational disturbances, no radio signals, no radiation emissions, just an empty void. And that's when the more unsettling questions began to arise. What if this wasn't just an unexplained cosmic event? What if something took the star? The idea might sound absurd, but it's a question that lingers in the minds of those who study the unknown. The universe is vast, filled with mysteries beyond human comprehension. And if we accept that we don't fully understand how stars live and die, could we also entertain the possibility that something else, something intelligent, might have had a hand in its disappearance? It's an idea that has haunted scientists and theorists alike. If an entire star can vanish without a trace, what else could? What if this wasn't an accident of nature, but an act of intent? There have long been speculations, fringe ideas about civilizations so advanced that their technology is indistinguishable from natural cosmic phenomena. The concept of a Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale, one that could harness the power of entire galaxies, has been debated for years. If such a civilization existed, would they have the ability to dismantle a star, to extract energy from it so efficiently that it simply ceases to be? Or is there something else at play? There is a strange silence in space. Scientists have often referred to it as the Great Silence, the paradox of why, in a universe so vast, we have never detected definitive proof of intelligent life beyond Earth. What if that silence isn't due to a lack of life? What if it's because something or someone removes it? Astronomers continue to observe the area where the star once existed, hoping for a clue, for a sign, for some remnant of light or energy that will explain its fate. But years have passed, and the mystery remains. A star that should have taken millions of years to fade instead vanished overnight. A cosmic entity erased from existence with no warning, no explanation, and if it happened once, could it happen again? What else in our universe might simply disappear without a trace? And more importantly, would we even know if it did? It's one thing for a star to vanish without a trace, but what happens when something even more powerful, something that defies the very fabric of reality itself, suddenly disappears? Black holes are now part of this eerie phenomenon. We often think of black holes as inescapable voids, consuming everything that dares to venture too close. Once formed, they are meant to persist, growing as they devour gas, stars, and even other black holes. But what happens when a black hole itself vanishes? This is the mystery that left astronomers baffled when an entire supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of our Sun, simply disappeared from the center of a distant galaxy. The galaxy in question, a 2261 BCG, sits about 10 billion light-years away. At its heart, scientists expected to find a black hole of unimaginable size, one that should have been actively consuming matter and emitting detectable radiation. Every massive galaxy we've observed has one, an anchor, around which the entire system orbits. But when astronomers aimed their most powerful telescopes at its core, they found nothing. No radiation, no gravitational signals, no evidence that a black hole had ever been there. Initially, scientists assumed they had simply missed it. Maybe it was obscured by dust or hidden in some way that made it difficult to detect. But even when they searched with radio telescopes, scanning for the telltale emissions of an active black hole, they found no trace. The black hole was gone, and no one could explain why. A black hole of this magnitude doesn't just disappear, it would take an almost unimaginable force to dislodge it from its host galaxy. One possibility was that it had been ejected, flung into intergalactic space by the tremendous forces of merging galaxies. If two supermassive black holes had collided, their gravitational waves could have given one of them a powerful enough kick to send it hurtling into the void. But this explanation posed its own problems. Such an event should have left behind evidence, gravitational disturbances in the surrounding stars or a visible recoil effect. Yet none were found. Another hypothesis suggested that the black hole might still be there, but was unusually quiet. Supermassive black holes typically consume matter, and as they do, they emit vast amounts of energy. But if for some reason, this black hole had stopped feeding entirely, it might have gone dark, making it much harder to detect. However, even dormant black holes should exert gravitational influence on the surrounding stars, warping their orbits in ways that could be measured. Yet, astronomers saw no such distortions. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Black holes were supposed to be the immovable anchors of galaxies, the inevitable end state of massive stars. The idea that one could simply vanish without a trace forced astronomers to reconsider what they thought they knew. Was our understanding of black holes fundamentally flawed? Were there cosmic forces at play that we had yet to discover? The event challenged the very fabric of astrophysics, prompting heated debates and urgent research efforts. What made this event even more perplexing was the sheer scale of the black hole that had disappeared. A 2261 BCG was no ordinary galaxy. It was a behemoth, one of the brightest and largest galaxies in its cluster. The black hole at its core should have been billions of times the mass of our Sun, an entity so immense that it shaped the very structure of the galaxy around it. For something of that magnitude to vanish defied the laws of physics as we understood them. More than just a scientific enigma, the missing black hole also ignited public curiosity. When the discovery made headlines, it sent waves of speculation across the internet. Some saw it as an ominous sign, wondering if black holes could somehow collapse in ways we didn't yet understand. Others latched onto more imaginative explanations. Could an unknown cosmic force be erasing black holes? Could this be evidence of a new exotic form of matter or energy that we had never encountered before? Media outlets ran sensational headlines, speculating wildly on what could have caused such an unprecedented event. Some people theorized that an unknown cosmic phenomenon, something beyond our current scientific grasp, was responsible. Others, more inclined towards science fiction, suggested the involvement of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Could an alien race possess the ability to manipulate black holes using them as energy sources, or even weapons? The idea, while fantastical, resonated with those who believed that the universe was far stranger than we could comprehend. In the months following the discovery, teams of astronomers around the world doubled their efforts to locate the missing black hole. They scoured the surrounding space, searching for any sign that it had been ejected. Some suggested that it might be moving at incredible speeds, a rogue singularity racing through intergalactic space, but detecting such a thing would be like finding a needle in a cosmic haystack. Others proposed that we might be looking at the effects of new physics, forces that operate on scales we have yet to understand. Even seasoned scientists found themselves unsettled by the implications. Theoretical physicists began re-examining our models of black hole formation and stability. Some proposed radical new ideas. Perhaps under certain conditions, black holes could evaporate far more quickly than expected, not over trillions of years, but within a cosmic blink of an eye. Others speculated that the missing black hole could be evidence of a new type of interaction between black holes and dark matter, an invisible substance that makes up much of the universe, but remains largely mysterious. The implications of the missing black hole extend beyond this one galaxy. If it could happen here, could it happen elsewhere? Are black holes as stable as we believe, or do they sometimes slip away, vanishing into the unknown, and if they do, where do they go? Some skeptics suggested that the black hole might not have disappeared at all, but rather that we were simply unable to see it due to an unexpected quirk of physics. Perhaps an unusual alignment of gravitational lensing had obscured it from view, or maybe the black hole had temporarily stopped accreting matter in such a way that it emitted no detectable signals. But even these explanations failed to fully account for the complete lack of gravitational influence at the galaxy's core. Years have passed since the discovery, and the mystery remains unsolved. Observatories continue to watch a 2261 BCG, hoping that some clue will emerge. Perhaps a faint gravitational ripple, an unexpected shift in the stars, anything that might explain what happened. But so far the universe has remained silent, and that silence is perhaps the most unsettling part of all, because if something out there has the power to erase a black hole without a trace, what else might it be capable of? What other cosmic mysteries await us, hidden in the vast and endless night? If something out there has the power to make a black hole vanish, then bending the rules of planet formation should be effortless. But what happens when a world appears where no world should be? One that drifts alone in the darkness, yet burns with an unexplained heat. It was a planet that defied logic, a rogue world wandering the cosmos without a star to call home. Unlike the planets in our solar system, which faithfully orbit the sun, this world was unbound, drifting through the void, an orphan of the universe. Astronomers first detected it using gravitational microlensing, a technique that allows them to see objects that emit no light of their own. When this mysterious planet passed in front of a distant star, it bent the star's light, revealing its presence. And what they found was shocking. This was no ordinary rogue planet. It was massive, several times the size of Jupiter. But what made it truly bizarre was its temperature. Despite floating in the darkness of interstellar space, far from the warmth of any sun, the planet was inexplicably hot. This was an impossibility. Planets derive their heat from their parent stars, or in some cases from internal radioactive decay. But this world had neither. It was alone, abandoned, and yet it burned with an internal fire that defied explanation. At first, scientists assumed it must be young. Perhaps it had only recently been ejected from its home system, still retaining heat from its formation. But further analysis showed that the planet was ancient, billions of years old. By all known physics, it should have cooled long ago, and yet it radiated warmth, as if some unseen force were keeping it alive. Then came the even stranger discovery. The planet wasn't just warm, it was pulsing. Every few hours its brightness fluctuated, as if something on its surface was glowing and dimming in a rhythmic pattern. No natural process could explain this. It was as if the planet was emitting energy deliberately, in structured bursts. Was this a natural phenomenon, or something else? The possibility that this rogue planet was artificial began to emerge. Some scientists speculated that it could be a Dyson sphere-like structure, built not around a star, but as a self-contained energy source. If an advanced civilization had created a mobile world capable of generating its own heat, what purpose would it serve? Was it an interstellar ark, carrying life across the galaxy? Or was it something even more enigmatic? An outpost, a vessel, a message? The idea of an artificial planet is one that challenges our understanding of the universe. And yet, if we entertain the possibility that civilizations far beyond our own capabilities might exist, why wouldn't they construct worlds of their own design? The mystery deepened when radio telescopes aimed at the planet picked up something even more astonishing, a faint, repeating signal. At first, it seemed like background noise, the kind of random emissions that celestial bodies sometimes produce. But when analyzed further, the signal showed patterns, mathematical sequences that did not occur naturally. This was no ordinary planet. The discovery sent shockwaves through both the scientific community and the general public. News outlets picked up on the anomaly, speculating wildly about the implications. Was this the first undeniable proof of extraterrestrial intelligence? Was this planet a wandering remnant of an ancient civilization? Social media exploded with theories, ranging from the plausible to the outright bizarre. Some feared it was a harbinger of invasion, while others saw it as a lost beacon waiting to be answered. Scientists scrambled to temper public hysteria, urging patience and careful study before jumping to conclusions. But the mystery only deepened. Governments and space agencies around the world took notice. Some even classified their findings, refusing to disclose what they had observed. Conspiracy theories flourished. Was this the moment the world had been waiting for? Had first contact already happened behind closed doors? Some even claimed that intercepted transmissions held messages, warnings, or invitations from an unknown intelligence. Then, in 2022, something terrifying happened. The planet changed course. For centuries, it had drifted aimlessly, following no particular path. But suddenly, its trajectory shifted. Subtly at first, almost imperceptibly, but then more dramatically. It was accelerating, no longer behaving like a passive object obeying the laws of gravity. It was moving with purpose. This was not a natural event. Rogue planets don't suddenly alter their course unless acted upon by an external force. And yet, there was no nearby object massive enough to influence it. No passing star, no black hole, nothing that could have caused such a shift. It was as if something had turned it on. Panic spread through scientific communities. If this was a spacecraft, if this was a construct of intelligence, where was it going? And more importantly, was it coming here? For months, observatories tracked its path, running simulations, calculating its potential destination. Then the results came in. It was heading toward our solar system. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Some saw it as an omen, a warning of something beyond human understanding. Governments issued vague statements about ongoing analysis, while refusing to comment further. Online communities exploded with speculation, with some calling for open communication with the object, while others demanded military preparedness. Some religious groups declared it the arrival of a celestial messenger, while doomsayers preached the beginning of an apocalypse. Scientists, meanwhile, struggled to separate fact from fear, urging continued observation and analysis. No one knew what to expect. Some theorized it was merely passing through, an interstellar traveler on a preordained journey. Others feared something far more ominous, that this was a reconnaissance probe, the harbinger of something greater. A silent observer, approaching not by chance, but by design. And then, as suddenly as it had changed course, the planet stopped emitting its signal. It went dark. The fluctuations ceased. The energy readings vanished. It became, once again, an ordinary rogue planet, cold, lifeless, drifting through space. As if it had never been active at all. The abrupt silence sent another wave of fear through the public and scientific communities alike. Some believed it was a defensive maneuver, that we had somehow been detected, observed, and then dismissed. Others feared that it was only a prelude to something more. Was it simply waiting? Watching, preparing, but the fear remains. What force could change the path of a world? What intelligence could build such a construct and send it through the cosmos? And most chilling of all, was it ever truly inactive? We watch the sky, we scan the heavens, and we tell ourselves that we understand the universe. But the truth is, there are things out there that defy explanation. Things that challenge our perception of what is possible. The rogue planet is still coming, and whatever secrets it holds, they remain locked within its burning heart, waiting to be revealed. If it was built, who built it? If it was sent, who sent it? And if it is truly heading toward us, why? Could they have already reached out, left behind a message hidden in the noise of the universe, one we simply failed to recognize? A burst of information carrying the answers we seek? If so, we might already have it. It was called FRB 121102, a signal unlike any other, a burst of radio waves from deep space, lasting only milliseconds, yet more powerful than entire galaxies. It came from a region of the sky with no known sources, no pulsars, no black holes, no supernova remnants, just empty space. Astronomers first detected it in 2007, buried in old data collected by a massive radio telescope in Australia. At first, they thought it was an error, a glitch, perhaps interference from Earth. But then it happened again, and again, and again. Fast radio bursts, FRBs as they came to be known, were unlike anything ever observed before. Each one lasted mere milliseconds, but contained as much energy as our sun emits in an entire day. Some were one-time events, never to be heard from again. Others seemed to repeat, coming from the same mysterious locations over and over, and one of them in particular defied all logic. FRB 121102, a name that would go down in astronomical history, unlike the other bursts which flashed once and vanished. FRB 121102 repeated, again and again, from the same exact spot in the sky. Not just a few times, but hundreds. Scientists pointed every available telescope toward its origin, hoping for an answer. But what they found only deepened the mystery. The burst wasn't coming from a star, it wasn't coming from a black hole. It was coming from a dwarf galaxy 3 billion light-years away. A galaxy so small and unremarkable that if not for the signal, no one would have ever paid it any attention. And yet something inside it was sending out these bursts, highly energetic, precisely timed, and inexplicably repeating. The first theories were scientific. Perhaps a highly magnetized neutron star, a magnetar, was the culprit. Magnetars are known for their extreme magnetic fields, capable of producing powerful flares, but this signal was different. Its energy levels were too high, its repetition too unusual. And then came something even stranger. The bursts weren't random, they followed a pattern. In 2020, astronomers analyzing FRB 121102 discovered something no one expected: a cycle. For 90 days, the source would emit powerful bursts, some arriving in perfect sequence, like clockwork. Then for 67 days, it would go silent. Then the cycle would start again. An active phase, a dormant phase, repeating over and over. Nothing in nature behaves like this. Not pulsars, not magnetars, not any known cosmic phenomenon. Something, whatever it was transmitting in a way that suggested intent, intelligence, purpose. And then things took an even stranger turn. In 2022, another repeating burst was detected, FRB 20191221A. Unlike any other before it, this one persisted for a full 3 seconds, thousands of times longer than any previous FRB. But what stood out even more was its structure. It wasn't just a single pulse of energy, it had a rhythmic pattern, repeating every 0.2 seconds, like a ticking clock. This had never been seen before. It was too structured, too precise. Natural cosmic phenomena don't behave like this. And the more scientists analyzed it, the more disturbing the implications became. Could this be artificial? Could this be a message? If so, the implications were profound. A civilization capable of emitting such powerful signals would need to harness energy on an unimaginable scale, perhaps by controlling entire stars or tapping into the raw power of black holes. Could these signals be beacons, warnings, a form of long-distance communication between civilizations? One theory suggested that FRBs could be byproducts of advanced alien technology, specifically the propulsion systems of vast interstellar spacecraft. If an alien civilization had developed a method of space travel that involved incredibly powerful energy bursts, we might just be detecting the exhaust trails of their ships as they move through the universe. Another, more unsettling theory arose. What if these signals were distress calls? What if, billions of years ago, an advanced civilization faced a catastrophic event and sent these messages as a final attempt to reach out? And if that were the case, what happened to them? Perhaps they were wiped out by something greater. A cosmic disaster, a rogue black hole, a collision between galaxies, or something more deliberate. A force, an entity, an intelligence beyond our comprehension that ensures civilizations never grow too advanced. It's an unsettling idea, but not an impossible one. The Great Silence, the paradox of why we have never encountered direct proof of extraterrestrial life, lingers over every new discovery. Some believe that intelligent civilizations are wiped out before they can spread. Others suggest that something out there ensures that no civilization grows too powerful. What if FRBs are the last echoes of those who came before us? And then there's the possibility that we are simply listening wrong. What if FRBs are not signals intended for us, but rather part of a grander cosmic network, one that we have yet to understand? What if they are the intergalactic equivalent of a lighthouse beacon, guiding advanced civilizations through the void, while we, primitives by comparison, sit in the dark, confused and uncomprehending? Despite years of study, the true nature of FRBs remains elusive. More are detected every year, some behaving in new and unexpected ways. Some are found in entirely empty regions of space, with no obvious source. Others seem to come from environments that should make such emissions impossible. And then there are the ones that repeat in perfect cycles, as if someone or something is trying to be heard. What if these signals aren't just random bursts of cosmic energy? What if they are messages we simply don't understand? Scientists have attempted to decode them, searching for patterns that might indicate a form of language or mathematics. So far, no clear meaning has been found. But what if we're listening the wrong way? What if the message isn't meant for us? If someone or something is sending these signals, should we respond? If FRBs are an invitation, what happens when someone finally answers? Are they guiding us towards something, or are they a warning to stay away? There are still so many unanswered questions. Scientists continue to study the sky, waiting for the next burst, the next anomaly, the next clue that will bring us closer to understanding this phenomenon. But time is a factor, space is ancient, and we are young. If there are others out there, they may have been watching us for far longer than we have been watching them. Perhaps they already know the answers we seek. Perhaps they are waiting to see if we will figure it out on our own. The universe is vast, ancient, and filled with mysteries beyond our comprehension. FRBs remain one of its greatest enigmas. Perhaps in time, we will unravel their secrets. But until then, we must ask ourselves a final haunting question. If someone out there is calling, should we answer? And what if something has already answered? What if they answered so loudly that the entire universe could hear it? There is a sound in space that should not exist. A deep, unrelenting roar that echoes across the cosmos, baffling scientists and defying everything we thought we knew about the silent void of space. It is not the whisper of a pulsar, nor the distant hum of a quasar. It is something else, something far louder than it should be, and we have no idea where it is coming from. The discovery was made in 2006 when NASA launched the Absolute Radiometer for Cosmology, Astrophysics and Diffuse Emission, or ARCADE. Its mission was to measure the faint radio signals left over from the formation of the first galaxies. Scientists expected to detect a weak, almost imperceptible radio glow, an ancient fingerprint of the early universe. But instead, ARCADE picked up something much stronger, an unexplained radio signal that was 6 times louder than anything anticipated. A deafening roar from the depths of space. At first, researchers thought there had to be a mistake. Instruments can fail. Data can be misinterpreted. Perhaps ARCADE was detecting interference from Earth, or even from within its own systems. But after extensive testing and recalibration, the result remained the same. This mysterious signal was real, and it was coming from somewhere deep in the universe. The problem was that nothing known to science could explain it. Radio waves in space are typically produced by galaxies, quasars, and other energetic cosmic phenomena. But the intensity of this signal was far beyond what all known radio sources could account for. It wasn't a single point of transmission. It was everywhere, a pervasive, all-encompassing hum that filled the sky. Naturally, scientists scrambled to find a rational explanation. Some proposed that the signal might come from distant, undetected galaxies, perhaps an enormous population of radio-bright galaxies that had somehow remained hidden from our telescopes. But even if this were the case, there would need to be far more of them than cosmology allows. The numbers simply didn't add up. Whatever was creating this roar had to be something else, something we had never encountered before. Then came another, more unsettling possibility. What if this radio noise wasn't coming from galaxies at all? What if it was a relic of something much older? Some scientists speculated that this could be a signal from the early universe itself, a leftover trace of some unknown cosmic event that had unfolded in the infancy of time. If true, it would mean we had stumbled upon an entirely new phenomenon, something so ancient and fundamental that it had been echoing through space for billions of years without us ever noticing. But even this theory had problems. The early universe left behind plenty of detectable signatures, such as the cosmic microwave background radiation. But the space roar didn't match any known predictions for how these remnants should behave. It wasn't the faint afterglow of creation. It was something else, something we weren't prepared for. The mystery only deepened when scientists realized that this signal was effectively drowning out other important cosmic observations. The roar was so powerful that it was interfering with the search for primordial radio signals from the first stars and galaxies. ARCADE had been sent to study the delicate whispers of the early cosmos, but instead, it had stumbled upon a deafening noise that made it nearly impossible to hear anything else. The roar wasn't just unexplained, it was disruptive. As time passed, theories continued to emerge, each attempting to explain what could possibly account for such an anomaly. Some suggested that a new class of celestial objects, previously unknown to science, might be responsible. Others hypothesized that this could be a consequence of dark matter interactions, an unknown astrophysical process, or even a fundamental flaw in our understanding of how radio waves propagate across the universe. One of the most perplexing aspects of the space roar is its uniformity. If this signal originated from a specific source, such as a cluster of galaxies or an unknown celestial body, scientists would expect it to be concentrated in certain regions of the sky. Instead, the roar is everywhere, as if it permeates the entire universe. This widespread distribution defies our expectations of how radio signals behave, leading researchers to question whether they are missing a crucial piece of the puzzle in our understanding of the cosmos. Adding to the confusion, attempts to detect the same anomaly using different instruments and methodologies have yielded mixed results. While Arcade's data is considered reliable, follow-up studies using other radio telescopes have struggled to pinpoint the exact nature of the signal. Some researchers argue that the roar might be an unexpected consequence of cosmic inflation, the rapid expansion of the universe moments after the Big Bang. If this is the case, it could provide invaluable insights into the fundamental forces that shaped the early universe. And then, of course, there were the more radical theories. Some began to wonder if the space roar was not a natural occurrence at all. What if it was a signal, a transmission of some kind, originating from an unknown source? The idea of an extraterrestrial origin, while speculative, could not be entirely ruled out. After all, if this noise was truly unlike anything we had ever observed, how could we be certain of its nature? This concept ignited curiosity and debate among those who study the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The roar did not match any known pattern of artificial transmission, but if an advanced civilization were using a form of communication vastly different from our own, would we even recognize it as such? Could the roar be a beacon, a form of interstellar noise pollution from an advanced society that has long since vanished, or was it something else entirely? An artifact of cosmic engineering on a scale beyond human comprehension. Despite years of study, no definitive answer has been found. The space roar remains as enigmatic as ever, a persistent and unexplained presence in our cosmic landscape. Scientists continue to search for clues, analyzing new data, refining their models, and hoping that somewhere in the vast archive of astronomical observations, a breakthrough awaits. The implications of this mystery stretch far beyond the question of its origin. If the space roar is evidence of an unknown cosmic phenomenon, it could force us to reconsider fundamental aspects of astrophysics. Could there be a new form of cosmic radiation that we have yet to classify? Is there an undiscovered process at work that produces radio waves on an unprecedented scale? Every unanswered question only deepens the intrigue surrounding this perplexing signal, but the unsettling truth remains. The universe is filled with mysteries, and some of them refuse to give up their secrets. We thought space was silent, an empty void punctuated only by the whispers of distant stars and galaxies. But now we know that something out there is making noise. A sound that should not be, a sound that should not exist. And perhaps the most unnerving question of all is this: if the space roar has been hiding from us all this time, what else might be out there, waiting to be heard? But space doesn't just produce impossible sounds. It also crafts impossibly perfect structures, forming without any logical explanation. A strange, unearthly glow shimmered in the depths of space, forming a shape so precise, so structured, that it seemed almost impossible. A celestial anomaly unlike anything astronomers had ever seen, a nebula glowing with a deep, unnatural red, structured, symmetrical, and utterly bizarre. They called it the Red Rectangle Nebula, a name that hardly did justice to the eerie, precise geometry of the formation. Discovered in the 1970s, the nebula lay over 2,300 light-years away, in the constellation Monosaurus. From the first images, it was clear that this was no ordinary gas cloud. Most nebulae are chaotic, swirling clouds of dust and gas, sculpted by stellar winds and radiation into wild, unpredictable forms. But this one was different. It had symmetry, sharp edges, an organization that felt almost unnatural. At its core was a dying star, much like our own sun will one day become, a white dwarf, shedding its outer layers, leaving behind an expanding shell of gas. That was expected, but the shape was not. Instead of a diffuse, irregular cloud, the gas had formed perfect, almost crystalline structures, glowing with a deep red hue. It was as if something or someone had meticulously arranged the material into a shape that defied nature itself. Astronomers found themselves drawn to its perplexing structure, questioning the forces at play. Could magnetic fields be responsible for such precision? Could unseen gravitational influences be shaping the nebula in ways we did not yet understand? If so, Why had no other nebula exhibited these characteristics? Each answer only led to more questions, deepening the enigma that surrounded the Red Rectangle. At first, astronomers sought a conventional explanation. Perhaps it was a trick of perspective, an illusion caused by the way light scattered through the gas. But as more advanced telescopes captured clearer images, the mystery only deepened. The sharp edges were real, the structured beams of light radiating outward were real, and the red glow, it was unlike anything seen before. The color wasn't the typical hydrogen emission seen in other nebula. It was something different, something still not entirely understood. Some speculated that complex organic molecules, potential precursors to life, were being formed in massive quantities, glowing under the harsh radiation of the central star. But even that didn't fully explain the stark symmetry of the nebula. Further studies revealed an even more unsettling aspect. The light coming from the nebula pulsed in a highly structured pattern. While natural stellar processes could sometimes produce periodic bursts of radiation, the signals emanating from the Red Rectangle were oddly regular, almost rhythmic, as if dictated by some unseen intelligence. Was it simply a bizarre quirk of physics, or was it something else entirely? It wasn't just the visual symmetry that puzzled researchers, it was also the sheer stability of the formation. Space is a place of constant flux, where gravitational interactions and radiation pressure create an ever-changing cosmic ballet. And yet, for decades, the Red Rectangle had remained eerily unchanged. No signs of dispersion, no signs of the chaotic turbulence expected in such environments. It was as though it were being actively maintained, held together by some unseen force. Then came an even stranger realization. The structure of the Red Rectangle bore a striking resemblance to something theoretical physicists had speculated about for years: an artificially engineered megastructure. Some had long theorized that an advanced civilization might one day construct vast, geometric constructs in space, stellar-scale projects designed to harness energy, communicate across interstellar distances, or even house entire populations. Could this nebula be evidence of such a thing? Of course, the scientific community remained skeptical. Space is filled with strange and unexpected formations, many of which can seem artificial at first glance, but ultimately have natural explanations. And yet the Red Rectangle refused to fit neatly into any known category. No other nebula shared its properties, and no existing model of stellar evolution could fully explain its shape. Theories ranged from the mundane to the extraordinary. Some believed the structure was the result of two interacting stars, their gravitational forces shaping the surrounding gas into the symmetrical formation. Others wondered if some unknown cosmic force was at play, something we had yet to discover. And then there were those who entertained the more unsettling possibility, one that would change everything we thought we knew about the universe. What if this wasn't natural at all? If an advanced civilization had the capability to manipulate matter on a massive scale, to shape the cosmos itself, then structures like this might be the first signs of their existence. Could we be looking at the remnants of some vast ancient project, a beacon, a construct designed to last for millennia, glowing in the darkness as a message to anyone watching? The implications were staggering. If this were an artificial structure, it would mean we were not only not alone in the universe, but that other civilizations had mastered technologies far beyond our understanding. It would mean that somewhere out there intelligence existed that could bend the very fabric of space to its will. The idea was intoxicating, terrifying, and utterly fascinating. What if we were looking at something not built by a civilization like our own, but by something far older, perhaps even something post-biological, a machine intelligence, one that had long since surpassed the need for planetary habitation? Could the Red Rectangle be the footprint of a long-extinct race, their last great creation still glowing in the void? And what if it wasn't abandoned at all? What if hidden within its glowing symmetry, there was something watching, waiting? Of course, there was no proof, only speculation. But the mere possibility was enough to capture the imaginations of scientists and the public alike. The idea that, hidden among the stars, there might be artifacts of an intelligence far greater than our own, waiting, unnoticed, in the vastness of space. Reactions within the scientific community varied. Some dismissed the idea outright, stating that until concrete evidence was found, the nebula was just another beautiful but unexplained cosmic phenomenon. Others were more open to the possibility, admitting that the universe still held many secrets we had yet to unravel. Among the public, the mystery of the Red Rectangle Nebula ignited a wave of fascination with the idea of ancient cosmic civilizations. Online forums, conspiracy theories, and speculative documentaries all sought to answer the question, what if? Even now, astronomers continue to study the Red Rectangle, hoping for a breakthrough that will finally reveal its secrets. But the more they learn, the stranger it seems, its precise angles, its inexplicable glow, its eerie, almost intentional symmetry. A nebula, unlike any other, sitting silently in the void, daring us to explain it. For now, it remains a mystery. One of the strangest in the known universe, a cosmic enigma that forces us to ask the question, if we were to find evidence of an alien civilization, would we even recognize it, or would it be hidden in plain sight, mistaken for just another star, just another cloud of dust, waiting for someone to look closer and see it for what it truly is? Not everything in space can be explained. Some things can only be observed, and sometimes, the more we observe, the less sense they make. It was a machine built for a singular purpose: to explore the unknown. Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was never meant to last this long. It was a marvel of human engineering. A spacecraft designed to take a grand tour of the solar system before fading into the endless abyss of interstellar space. And yet, over 4 decades later, it was still out there, hurtling through the void, billions of miles away from Earth. It had outlived its designer's expectations, continuing to send back data from beyond the edge of our solar system, offering humanity a glimpse into the vast and uncharted territory of deep space. But then, something happened, something that no one could explain. In May 2022, NASA's Deep Space Network received a signal from Voyager 1. At first, it was just another routine transmission. The spacecraft, despite its unimaginable distance of over 14 billion miles, was still sending data back to Earth. It was a testament to the durability of 1970s engineering, surviving radiation, cosmic rays, and the frigid temperatures of space. But when engineers analyzed the signal, they realized that something was very, very wrong. Voyager 1 was transmitting gibberish. The data coming from the spacecraft's Attitude Articulation and Control System, AACS, the system responsible for keeping Voyager 1's antenna pointed at Earth, made no sense. It was as if the spacecraft had suddenly forgotten how to communicate. The telemetry was erratic, the readings were nonsensical, and yet the spacecraft itself appeared to be fine. There were no system failures, no warnings, no indication of a catastrophic malfunction. It was simply wrong. For NASA engineers, this was a nightmare scenario. Voyager 1 was beyond the reach of any repair mission. There were no astronauts who could visit it, no way to physically interact with the spacecraft. Every command sent to Voyager 1 took nearly 21 hours to reach it, and another 21 hours for the spacecraft to respond. Troubleshooting was an agonizingly slow process, and with each passing day, the mystery deepened. At first, NASA suspected that the AACS had somehow started sending data through the wrong onboard computer, but that theory didn't explain why the data itself was corrupted. The spacecraft wasn't in safe mode. It hadn't switched to a backup system. In fact, it seemed completely unaware that anything was wrong at all. And then came an even stranger revelation. Voyager 1's signal strength remained unchanged. Normally, if a spacecraft drifts off course, even slightly, its antenna would misalign, weakening its signal to Earth. But despite the garbled data, Voyager 1's signal was as strong as ever, meaning it was still correctly oriented toward Earth. The AACS was working, but it was reporting nonsense. The implications were bizarre. If the AACS was failing, the antenna should have drifted out of alignment, but that hadn't happened. It was almost as if the spacecraft was transmitting bad data on purpose. But why? And how? The situation became even more baffling as engineers scoured through logs of past transmissions. Nothing in Voyager 1's behavior had foreshadowed this event. There had been no gradual decline, no unusual fluctuations. One day it was working as expected, and the next it was spewing incoherent telemetry. The abruptness of the problem defied conventional explanations. NASA had no choice but to attempt a remote fix. But blindly troubleshooting a 45-year-old spacecraft, billions of miles away, with no clear understanding of the problem, was like trying to repair an antique clock over a telephone call with a 42-hour delay. Engineers sifted through old blueprints and documentation, much of it written by people who had long since retired or passed away, searching for a clue. The team working on Voyager 1 was small, a handful of specialists keeping an aging spacecraft alive, relying on handwritten notes and decades-old computer code. Weeks turned into months, and the mystery only grew. Why had Voyager 1 suddenly started transmitting gibberish after functioning normally for decades? Was it a hardware failure, a cosmic ray striking a critical system, or was something else interfering with the spacecraft? There was another, more unsettling theory, one that no one wanted to say out loud. What if Voyager 1 wasn't alone out there? For decades, some had speculated about the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence encountering Voyager 1. After all, the spacecraft carried the famous golden record, a message from humanity, etched into a gold-plated phonograph record, containing sounds and images meant to represent life on Earth. The record was designed to last for 1 billion years, a cosmic time capsule drifting through the stars, waiting for someone or something to find it. Could it be that Voyager 1 had been intercepted? Could something have tampered with its systems? Was the gibberish transmission the result of an external force, an unknown intelligence attempting to communicate, or worse, take control? It was an idea that belonged in science fiction, and yet, as the weeks dragged on with no answers, even the most skeptical scientists couldn't ignore the eerie reality. Voyager 1 was acting in ways that defied explanation. NASA kept their statements measured, reassuring the public that they were investigating. But among space enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike, speculation ran rampant. Was this humanity's first contact with something beyond Earth? Was Voyager 1 trying to send a message that we could not yet comprehend? Then, in August 2022, NASA engineers made a breakthrough. After months of painstaking analysis, they discovered that the AACS had somehow started sending telemetry data through an onboard computer that had stopped working years ago. The system had, for reasons unknown, begun routing critical information to a dead processor, one that couldn't process or transmit the data correctly. This revelation was both a relief and a new puzzle. How had this happened? Voyager 1 hadn't switched to a backup system, nor had there been any command from Earth to change its data routing. It had simply decided to do so on its own. NASA devised a fix, sending a command for the AACS to resume sending data to the correct computer. Nearly 2 days later, the response came back. It had worked. Voyager 1 was transmitting normal telemetry again. The spacecraft was, for all intents and purposes, fixed. But the engineers weren't celebrating just yet, because one question remained unanswered. Why did it happen in the first place? No cosmic ray strike, no sudden hardware failure, no known issue should have caused Voyager 1 to reroute its telemetry in such a bizarre way. Even after the fix, Voyager 1 never logged an error. It never showed any signs that it had detected an issue. It was as if the spacecraft had changed its behavior without realizing it. To this day, no one knows why. Voyager 1 continues its journey into interstellar space, further than any human-made object has ever traveled. It will remain operational until its power supply finally dwindles, its instruments shutting down one by one until it falls silent, drifting forever through the void. But the mystery of 2022 lingers, a ghost in the machine, a moment when the spacecraft seemed to break its own rules for no apparent reason. Was it a fluke of aging hardware, a quirk of deep space radiation, or did something else, something we don't yet understand, reach out across the abyss and touch Voyager 1 in a way we cannot explain? Perhaps we'll never know. Some mysteries may never be solved, whether they originate from the surface of our own planet or from the distant reaches of a nearby star. There are things in the universe that defy logic, cosmic mysteries that even with all our advancements remain unsolved. But among the black holes, the rogue planets, and the distant galaxies, there exists an event so bizarre, so completely unexplainable, that scientists to this day struggle to comprehend it. It was an ordinary night in 2018, when an array of radio telescopes across the world picked up something unusual. A signal, no, not a signal, an object, moving through interstellar space at impossible speeds. It had been first detected by an observatory in Hawaii, a long, thin object tumbling end over end as it soared past our sun. It had already been moving at speeds that suggested it had originated outside our solar system, making it the first known interstellar object to ever visit our neighborhood. But this was no ordinary asteroid. It accelerated. At first, scientists assumed it was just a piece of cosmic debris, a shard of rock or ice ejected from some distant system, flung into space by gravitational interactions. But then, something happened that should not have been possible. Rather than slowing down as it moved away from the sun, as all natural objects should, it sped up. There was no visible propulsion, no ejected gas or material that could explain this acceleration. Comets experience a similar phenomenon when they get close to a star, as the heat causes their icy surfaces to vaporize, releasing jets of gas that propel them forward. But this object, now named Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout or messenger from afar, had no tail, no visible outgassing, no sign that it was losing mass. It was as if something unseen was pushing it forward. That alone was enough to raise alarms in the scientific community. But then came the second anomaly. The shape, natural space objects tend to be roughly spherical or irregularly shaped, the result of eons of impacts and gravitational forces shaping them. But Oumuamua was long, unnaturally long. By the best estimates, it was at least 800 meters in length, but no more than 80 meters wide, a shape completely unlike any asteroid or comet ever observed. The way it tumbled as it moved suggested it was flat, like a thin, elongated disk. There were even theories that it was metallic, reflecting sunlight in strange ways. And then there was the most unsettling possibility of all. What if it wasn't an asteroid? What if it was something else? Some theorized it could be an artificial construct, a derelict probe or spacecraft sent from another star system. Its acceleration, subtle but undeniable, resembled the effect one might expect from a solar sail, a technology that humanity itself had only just begun to experiment with. A solar sail works by using the radiation pressure from a star's light to push an object forward, requiring no fuel and allowing for continuous acceleration over time. If Oumuamua were a probe, could it have been using the sun's energy to continue its journey? And if so, who built it? The idea was met with resistance. The scientific community is slow to embrace theories that lean toward extraterrestrial intelligence, but the facts remained. No known natural object behaves like Oumuamua. No known comet or asteroid has ever accelerated without explanation. No rock in space is shaped like a perfect, elongated disk. Then, before we could investigate further, it was gone. We had only weeks to study it before it moved too far to be seen clearly. By the time we realized how truly strange it was, it had already slipped past Jupiter's orbit, heading into the unknown. And then in 2023, something even stranger happened. A second object. This time, astronomers were ready. When a new interstellar visitor was detected moving toward our solar system, telescopes across the globe were locked onto it immediately. But this one was different. It looked like a comet, exhibiting the classic tail of outgassing material as it approached the sun. But just like Oumuamua, its speed and trajectory indicated that it had come from deep interstellar space. Scientists eagerly studied it, hoping it would provide answers to the mysteries Oumuamua had left behind. But as the months went on, the mystery only deepened. Unlike Oumuamua, this object, dubbed 2I/Borisov, did not accelerate unexpectedly. It behaved, for the most part, like a normal comet. But its composition was wrong. It had a chemical makeup unlike any comet we had ever seen before. In fact, it seemed to contain elements that suggested it had formed around an entirely different type of star. It was alien in every sense of the word. And then came the final revelation, the part that sent chills through the scientific community. Its trajectory. When scientists traced its path backward, they found something strange. Its origin was completely unknown. Coming from a region of space with no obvious point of origin, but its future path, that was even more unsettling. It wasn't leaving. Unlike Oumuamua, which had sailed past us and continued on its journey into deep space, 2I/Borisov had an entirely different fate. It was slowing down, not by much, but enough. Rather than escaping into the void, it was settling into a trajectory that suggested it might remain within our solar system for centuries, even millennia. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, it was drifting into what some astronomers began calling a captured orbit. The discovery sent shockwaves through both the scientific community and the general public. Astronomers were torn between the mundane explanations. Perhaps the object had simply encountered an unseen gravitational force, and the more unnerving possibilities. Was it truly natural, or had it been designed to remain here? As debates raged in academic circles, conspiracy theories began flooding social media and news outlets. Some claimed that Borisov was a harbinger, a reconnaissance probe sent by an unknown intelligence to observe us. Others suggested that it was humanity's first tangible proof of extraterrestrial visitors, and that its slowing trajectory meant it was preparing for something. The lack of concrete answers only fueled the speculation. For government agencies and space organizations, the situation was equally perplexing. NASA, the European Space Agency, and independent researchers scrambled to launch last-minute observation campaigns, but Borisov was already fading from view, its secrets locked away in the cold silence of space. Private space companies even floated the idea of launching a probe to intercept it, but the logistics made such a mission nearly impossible. The frustration was palpable. Twice now, the universe had sent us visitors from beyond, and twice they had left us with more questions than answers. But the biggest question of all remained: was this just coincidence, or were we being watched? Was Oumuamua an artificial construct, a long-dead relic from an unknown civilization? Was 2I/Borisov a mere comet, or something sent deliberately to linger within our solar system for reasons we cannot yet understand? And the final, most haunting question of all: if we have already seen two interstellar objects in such a short span of time, how many more are out there? It's unsettling to think about mysterious objects hurtling into our solar system from the depths of interstellar space. But perhaps even more disturbing is the idea that something massive, something that has always been here, has remained hidden in the darkness, evading detection all along. For centuries, humanity believed it had mapped the planets of our solar system, that the great cosmic dance of celestial bodies was understood and complete. But what if something massive, something lurking in the darkness, had gone unnoticed? What if, beyond the familiar orbits of Neptune and Pluto, there was another world? A world so vast that it could reshape our understanding of the solar system itself. This is the mystery of Planet X, a hidden giant that may be pulling the strings of our cosmic neighborhood. The idea of an unseen planet beyond Neptune is not new. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed peculiarities in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune, small deviations that hinted at the gravitational influence of another body. This led to the discovery of Pluto in 1930, but it quickly became clear that Pluto was too small to explain the strange orbital shifts. Something else, something far larger, had to be out there. For decades, the search for this missing planet was filled with dead ends and false hopes. Some believed it was merely an illusion, an error in calculations, or an overestimation of Neptune's gravitational pull. But in recent years, the case for Planet X has grown stronger, fueled by new and unsettling evidence that something enormous is lurking beyond our sight. In 2016, astronomers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown of Caltech reignited the mystery when they published a study suggesting that a massive planet, at least 10 times the mass of Earth, was hiding in the outer reaches of our solar system. Their research wasn't based on direct observation, but rather on the strange orbits of distant icy objects in the Kuiper Belt. These objects, instead of moving randomly, seemed to be grouped in a way that defied logic, unless an unseen giant was shepherding them from afar. The implications were staggering. If real, Planet X would be a gas giant rivaling Uranus or Neptune, an undiscovered world lurking in the cosmic shadows. It would reside in the extreme outer reaches of the solar system, a region so distant that sunlight would be little more than a faint glow. Completing a single orbit around the sun could take between 10,000 and 20,000 years, explaining why it has remained hidden for so long. The scientific community was divided. Some were thrilled by the prospect, calling it one of the greatest potential discoveries of the century. Others were skeptical, arguing that the data was intriguing but inconclusive. And then there was the public. Many were captivated by the idea that our solar system was still incomplete, that a hidden giant could be lurking just out of reach. As the search intensified, telescopes around the world were turned toward the outer solar system. Researchers combed through archival data, hoping that Planet X had already been photographed without being recognized. The Subaru telescope in Hawaii became a key tool in the hunt, scanning the sky for any sign of the mysterious world. But despite years of searching, Planet X remained elusive. The lack of direct evidence raised troubling questions. Was the planet even real? Had the calculations been wrong? Or was there something even stranger at play? Some proposed alternative explanations. Perhaps a disk of small icy bodies was responsible for the gravitational effects, or maybe an undiscovered form of dark matter was subtly influencing these distant objects. But none of these theories could fully account for the observed anomalies. Then came an even more unsettling possibility. What if Planet X wasn't a planet at all? Some scientists began to speculate that instead of a gas giant, the missing object could be something far more exotic, perhaps even a primordial black hole, a remnant from the early universe no larger than a bowling ball but with the mass of a planet. If such an object existed in our solar system, it would be nearly impossible to see, detectable only by the way it warped space and influenced the orbits of distant objects. The idea of a black hole lurking within our own solar system sent a ripple of unease through the scientific community. If it were real, it would challenge everything we thought we knew about planetary formation. It would also mean that an invisible hyperdense object capable of warping space-time was orbiting the same sun as Earth. The thought was as thrilling as it was terrifying. As news of the mystery spread, the public fascination with Planet X exploded. Some saw it as proof that our knowledge of the cosmos was still woefully incomplete, that we were mere infants in understanding the vast and chaotic nature of our own backyard. Others took the idea and ran with it, spinning wild theories about doomsday scenarios, rogue planets, and ancient prophecies that foretold the return of a hidden world. Conspiracy theories about a Nibiru planet resurfaced, with some claiming that NASA was hiding its existence to prevent mass panic. The reality, however, was far more grounded, but no less mysterious. What makes the search for Planet X so frustrating is the sheer difficulty of detecting such a distant object. Unlike the bright inner planets, which reflect vast amounts of sunlight, a world in the outer solar system would be shrouded in darkness. It would be incredibly faint, its slow movement against the background stars making it nearly impossible to detect without years of careful observation. Even if we were to confirm its existence, the discovery of Planet X would raise more questions than it answers. How did such a massive planet end up in the distant reaches of the solar system? Did it form there, or was it ejected from the inner planets in a violent gravitational event billions of years ago? Could it have been captured from another star system entirely? The existence of Planet X would force us to rethink the history of our solar system and how planetary systems form. Some researchers believe we may be on the verge of a breakthrough, with new telescopes coming online, including the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. The search for Planet X is becoming more sophisticated than ever before. These next-generation observatories have the power to detect faint, slow-moving objects across vast distances, and many scientists are optimistic that within the next decade, we may finally have an answer. But what if we find nothing? If no evidence of Planet X ever emerges, it could mean that the strange orbital anomalies were caused by something we don't yet understand. It would suggest that our grasp of gravity and planetary motion still has gaps, that the forces shaping our solar system are more complex than we ever imagined. And yet, the possibility remains that Planet X is out there, waiting to be found. A world hidden in the abyss, circling the sun on an orbit so vast that its presence has remained a secret for all of human history. If it exists, it would be the most significant planetary discovery in modern times, a reminder that even in our own celestial backyard, there are still great mysteries left to unravel. So we continue to look, scanning the distant night, hoping for a glimpse of the invisible giant that may yet be hiding beyond the edge of the known solar system. Because if Planet X is real, it will change everything we thought we knew about the cosmos. And if it isn't, well then we have an even greater mystery to solve. While there may be undiscovered celestial bodies lurking in the far reaches of our solar system, even the worlds we have known about for centuries continue to hold mysteries that defy explanation. The moon has always been a source of fascination, an ever-present companion to our planet that has guided ancient navigators, inspired myths, and shaped the tides. But beneath its silent, cratered surface lies a mystery that has perplexed scientists, astronomers, and conspiracy theorists alike. There is something strange about the moon, something that defies explanation. It began with seismic activity, moonquakes that made no sense. Unlike Earth, the moon has no plate tectonics, no shifting continents or volcanic activity to stir its surface. And yet, Apollo-era seismometers recorded tremors, deep, reverberating tremors that made the moon ring like a bell. When NASA's Apollo 12 mission deliberately crashed part of its lunar module into the moon's surface in 1969, something eerie happened. The impact sent vibrations rippling through the moon, and for over an hour, the signal continued, as if the entire celestial body were hollow. This discovery sent ripples through the scientific community. Could it be that the moon wasn't what we had always assumed? Theories emerged, some more outlandish than others. Was it a vast cavernous structure, a honeycomb of underground tunnels and voids? Could there be something lurking beneath the surface, unseen and unknown? And then there was the issue of its composition. The moon is oddly lightweight for its size. Compared to Earth, its density is far lower than expected, fueling speculation that something is missing beneath its surface, perhaps vast hollow spaces, or even artificial constructs. Adding to the mystery, lunar samples brought back by Apollo astronauts contained metals like titanium in unusually high concentrations, far beyond what should naturally occur in such abundance. Certain isotopes in these samples did not match anything found on Earth or the meteorites that regularly pelt the moon. If the moon was a natural satellite, why did its composition seem so alien? But the most baffling question of all concerns the moon's origin. According to the giant impact hypothesis, the moon was formed when a Mars-sized body, Theia, struck Earth in the early days of the solar system, ejecting material that eventually coalesced into the moon. Yet, there are gaps in this theory. The isotopic similarities between Earth and moon rocks are almost too perfect, as if the moon were made from Earth's crust. Yet the physics of the collision suggest that much of the debris should have come from Theia as well. And stranger still, certain craters on the moon show characteristics inconsistent with natural impact. Some appear to have shallow depths despite their massive diameters, as if something beneath the surface prevented deeper penetration. These anomalies have fueled speculation for decades. Some researchers have suggested that the moon may be an artificially modified object, perhaps a constructed satellite rather than a natural one. The concept, radical as it may seem, has appeared in various scientific discussions, with some proposing that the moon could have been engineered by an advanced civilization as a monitoring station, an ancient remnant of an extraterrestrial presence. While mainstream science rejects such theories due to a lack of concrete evidence, the unusual properties of the moon continue to invite speculation. If the moon were an artificial object, the implications would be staggering. It would suggest an intelligence, an unknown force or civilization that possessed the knowledge and capability to place an enormous celestial body into orbit around our planet. The precision of the moon's orbit, its size ratio to the Earth, and its role in creating perfect solar eclipses have led some to believe that its presence is too mathematically convenient to be coincidental. Could it be that the moon was placed here intentionally, and if so, by whom, or what? Another perplexing aspect is the phenomenon of transient lunar phenomena, strange, unexplainable lights and flashes seen on the moon's surface. Since the 1600s, astronomers have documented these glowing spots, sometimes red or yellow, flickering in the dark lunar plains. Modern telescopes and satellites have confirmed that these flashes are real, but their cause remains a mystery. Are they geological in nature, perhaps the result of gas escaping from within the moon, or could they be something else entirely? Some have pointed to strange structures on the moon, irregular formations captured in photographs taken by lunar missions. While most of these are dismissed as natural geological features, some researchers argue that they bear an uncanny resemblance to artificial constructs, with linear patterns that defy the randomness of natural rock formations. Could it be that something was once there, that some ancient presence, now long gone, left behind traces that we have yet to fully uncover? Public reaction to these mysteries has ranged from curiosity to outright conspiracy. While NASA maintains that the moon is a natural satellite with no hidden secrets, amateur astronomers, researchers and theorists have continued to question the inconsistencies in its known history. Some claim that NASA has hidden key findings, citing moments during the Apollo missions when transmissions went silent, or when astronauts reportedly reacted to something unexpected. In 1969, during the Apollo 11 mission, there was a strange 2-minute gap in radio communication between the astronauts and mission control. Some believe this was when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin saw something that was not meant to be disclosed to the public, unidentified objects or structures on the lunar surface. Transcripts from subsequent missions contain cryptic references to Santa Claus, a term some suspect was code for unexplained sightings. But even if we set conspiracy theories aside, the moon remains an enigma. It is a crucial part of Earth's life cycle, stabilizing our planet's axial tilt and regulating tides. Without it, life as we know it might not exist. But is it merely a cosmic accident, or is there more to the moon than we have been led to believe? The greatest mystery of all is that the moon seems almost too perfect for its role. Its size and distance create solar eclipses that reveal the sun's corona, something that has been vital for scientific discoveries about our star. It has just enough gravitational influence to stabilize Earth's axial tilt, preventing chaotic climate shifts. If it were slightly closer or further, our world might be unrecognizable. Was this all the result of a cosmic coincidence, or is there an element of design? And then, there is the most haunting question of all. If the moon is more than just a lifeless rock, if it is in some way something beyond our understanding, then who or what put it there? The mystery endures. Scientists continue to study lunar data, searching for answers. Telescopes scan its surface, looking for anomalies. Future missions to establish a human presence on the moon may yet uncover something unexpected. But for now, the moon remains a silent guardian in the night sky, watching over us as it always has, its true nature still unknown. Perhaps one day we will learn the truth, but until then, we can only look up and wonder. Our moon certainly holds its share of mysteries, but some of the greatest enigmas in our solar system may lie within the icy moons of distant planets, where the conditions for life might exist. Beneath the frozen surfaces of the outer solar system, something stirs, hidden beneath miles of ice. In the pitch-black depths of alien oceans, something moves, something breathes, something unknown. For decades, astronomers and planetary scientists had suspected that the moons of the gas giants, Europa, Enceladus, Titan, and others, might harbor liquid water beneath their icy shells. What they had not expected was the sheer strangeness of what they would find. It began with Cassini. When the spacecraft passed by Saturn's moon Enceladus in 2005, it detected towering geysers of water vapor erupting from the moon's south pole, shooting hundreds of miles into space. Spectral analysis revealed something shocking. The plumes contained complex organic molecules, the building blocks of life. The implications were staggering. Enceladus was not a frozen wasteland. Beneath its icy surface lay a vast warm ocean in direct contact with the moon's rocky core. This meant hydrothermal vents could be present, vents like those on Earth's ocean floor, where life thrives in total darkness, feeding off the chemical energy of the planet itself. Then came Europa. Jupiter's moon, long suspected to have a subsurface ocean, showed signs of similar geysers, hinting at an ocean even larger than Enceladus's, one that contained more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. And then there was Titan, Saturn's largest moon, a place so alien that it defied easy classification. Titan's lakes of liquid methane and ethane, its thick atmosphere rich with organic compounds, suggested an entirely different kind of ocean world, one where life, if it existed, might be like nothing we had ever imagined. But these were only the first hints. As new instruments scanned these worlds in greater detail, as more missions sent back data, the mystery deepened. Magnetic field readings from Europa suggested its ocean was not just liquid, it was briny, conductive, moving. Something was generating strange electromagnetic fluctuations beneath the ice, signals that did not align with expected ocean currents or natural geological activity. It was almost as if something within was interacting with Jupiter's immense magnetic field in an organized way. Then in 2022, came the breakthrough. A radio signal, faint, barely perceptible, was detected coming from Europa's surface. At first, it was assumed to be a simple natural emission, the kind often picked up from planetary bodies exposed to high-energy radiation. But when the signal was analyzed, something didn't add up. It repeated, and not just randomly. It followed a structured pattern. Some dismissed it as an artifact of the instruments, an error in the processing of the data. But others, those who had spent their lives searching for something, anything, that might indicate extraterrestrial life, were not so sure. The frequency shifts in the signal were reminiscent of something very specific: sonar. On Earth, deep-diving whales use sonar clicks and pulses to navigate and communicate in the darkest reaches of the ocean. Could something beneath Europa's ice be doing the same? NASA, along with the European Space Agency, prepared a new mission, the Europa Clipper. It was designed to pass closer to the Moon than any probe before it, scanning the surface, diving through the plumes, searching for signs of biological activity. As launch preparations were underway, scientists began revisiting older data, searching for anomalies they might have missed. What they found sent chills through the scientific community. The Cassini probe, years before, had recorded something similar at Enceladus, a faint, structured pattern buried in the background noise of its instruments. The data had been archived, overlooked, assumed to be interference. But now, viewed in light of the Europa signal, it appeared eerily familiar. It was as if the same thing had been heard twice, on two different moons, hundreds of millions of miles apart. As the new probes reached their destinations, the truth became harder to ignore. More anomalies surfaced. Infrared scans of Europa's ice revealed unexplained thermal spots, locations where something warm was pressing against the underside of the ice, creating localized melting. These patches moved over time, shifting position as if something below was rising toward the surface, only to sink back down again. Then, Titan delivered its own shock. The Dragonfly mission, a drone designed to fly through Titan's thick atmosphere, captured strange wave patterns across the Moon's methane lakes, waves that did not match expected wind patterns. Something beneath the surface was disturbing the liquid, something big. The debate within the scientific community became fierce. Was this proof of extraterrestrial life, or were all these signals, these movements, these electromagnetic anomalies, just the results of unfamiliar but ultimately natural processes? Many cautioned against jumping to conclusions. After all, no direct evidence of life had been found, no organisms, no confirmed biosignatures, just mystery piled upon mystery. But others weren't so sure. What if we're looking at the wrong kind of life? Some asked. What if what we think of as biosignatures don't apply to whatever is living there? A chilling thought began to emerge. If something did exist beneath the ice of Europa, Enceladus or Titan, it had likely been there for millions, perhaps even billions of years. It had evolved in an environment completely alien to Earth's biology. And if it was intelligent, if it was aware of us, would we even recognize its form of communication? Or had it already recognized us first? The signals had stopped, the radio pulses, the magnetic anomalies, they were gone, as if whatever had been making them had decided to go silent. And then, just as suddenly as they had vanished, they returned, stronger this time, more complex, no longer resembling sonar clicks, but something else entirely, a pattern, one that no longer seemed like an echo of nature, but a deliberate response to what no one could say. The Europa Clipper is still en route, set to arrive within the next few years. When it does, it will pass through the ice plumes, scanning for biological material, searching for any trace of life. But for those who have seen the signals, those who have studied the shifting warmth beneath the ice, the mission is about more than just discovery. It is about finding out whether we are the ones exploring, or whether all along something has been waiting beneath the ice, watching us instead. While some of the strangest mysteries in our solar system lie hidden beneath icy crusts and alien oceans, others unfold in plain sight, etched into the very atmospheres of distant worlds, defying explanation with their sheer scale and precision. It began with an image, one that defied expectations, one that made astronomers pause in disbelief. When NASA's Voyager spacecraft made its historic flyby of Saturn in 1981, it captured something utterly bizarre, a massive, perfectly shaped hexagon swirling at the planet's north pole. It was unlike anything seen before in the solar system, a vast six-sided storm, larger than Earth itself, its geometric precision too uncanny to ignore. Storms in space are supposed to be chaotic, untamed forces of nature. We see them on Jupiter, where the great red spot rages in an ever-churning maelstrom. We see them on Neptune, where dark, shifting tempests sweep across the ice giant's frigid atmosphere. But Saturn's hexagon, it wasn't just a storm, it was a shape, a symmetrical, stable formation that refused to dissipate. And the more we studied it, the stranger it became. At first, scientists thought it might be a fleeting anomaly, a temporary quirk of Saturn's weather that would eventually break apart. But when NASA's Cassini spacecraft arrived at the ringed planet in 2004, more than 2 decades after Voyager's first glimpse, the hexagon was still there, unchanged, still spinning with mathematical precision. This wasn't a brief atmospheric disturbance. It was something far more enduring, something that had persisted for years, perhaps even centuries. The hexagon is massive, stretching over 20,000 miles across, meaning Earth could fit comfortably inside it with room to spare. It rotates in perfect sync with Saturn's rotation, completing a full revolution roughly every 10 hours and 39 minutes. Unlike the planet's other storms, which drift and shift over time, this one remains locked in place, its 6 sides maintaining near-perfect 120-degree angles. But what could cause such an unusual formation? Scientists scrambled for explanations. One leading theory suggests that the hexagon forms due to a peculiar interaction between Saturn's jet streams, high-speed winds in the atmosphere that circle the planet at different latitudes. If a jet stream becomes locked in place by the planet's powerful rotation, it can create standing wave patterns, much like the ripples in a vibrating drumhead. A similar effect has been observed in fluid dynamics experiments on Earth, where rotating fluids under certain conditions can naturally form polygonal shapes. Yet, even this theory doesn't fully explain the hexagon's longevity, or why such a phenomenon hasn't been observed elsewhere in the solar system. Why only Saturn? Why only at its north pole? And why is it so eerily symmetrical? Adding to the mystery is the fact that deep inside the hexagon, at its very core, sits a massive swirling vortex, an enormous hurricane-like storm, with an eye that appears to extend deep into Saturn's lower atmosphere. Unlike Earth's hurricanes, which are fueled by warm ocean waters and eventually dissipate, this storm has no apparent fuel source. And yet, it continues to churn. As the years went on, the more closely we studied the hexagon, the stranger it became. Cassini's infrared instruments revealed that the pattern wasn't just a surface phenomenon. Its effects extended deep into Saturn's atmosphere, reaching down hundreds of miles. Even more perplexing, when the seasons on Saturn changed and summer arrived in the northern hemisphere, the hexagon's color changed from a bluish tint to a golden hue, hinting at complex chemical interactions occurring within its depths. The discovery sparked fascination beyond the scientific community. The public was captivated by the idea of a naturally occurring hexagon on a gas giant over 1 billion miles away. Some speculated that it could be an artificial structure, perhaps even evidence of extraterrestrial engineering. The internet buzzed with theories, some grounded in physics, others venturing into the realm of science fiction. Was Saturn's hexagon some kind of massive atmospheric antenna? Could it be a megastructure built by an advanced civilization? Of course, mainstream science dismissed such ideas, but the very fact that Saturn had something so mathematically perfect lingering in its atmosphere left many wondering, what else don't we understand about our own solar system? For planetary scientists, the hexagon remains one of the most compelling mysteries in atmospheric dynamics. No other planet in our solar system exhibits such a pattern naturally. Jupiter, despite its raging storms and violent jet streams, has nothing similar. Neptune, another gas giant with extreme winds, lacks any hexagonal features. The fact that Saturn alone possesses this anomaly suggests there is something unique happening in its atmosphere, something we still don't fully grasp. The hexagon's very existence challenges our understanding of planetary weather. On Earth, we are used to chaotic storms, cyclones, and fronts that shift unpredictably. Even in our own polar regions, weather patterns don't form into precise geometric shapes. The idea that a storm system could stabilize into a six-sided figure for decades, possibly even centuries, forces us to reconsider the fluid dynamics of atmospheres on a massive scale. And then there's the question of time. How long has Saturn's hexagon existed? Did it form relatively recently, or has it been a permanent feature of the planet for millions of years? Without historical observations, we can only speculate. Some scientists propose that it may have emerged when Saturn's jet streams stabilized into their current configuration, meaning it could be a transient feature on cosmic timescales. Others believe it may have always been there, an ancient swirling enigma dating back to the formation of the planet itself. The Cassini mission, which gave us the most detailed data on the hexagon, came to an end in 2017, when the spacecraft was deliberately plunged into Saturn's atmosphere to prevent contamination of its moons. With Cassini gone, direct observations of the hexagon are now limited, leaving many questions unanswered. Future missions may one day return to Saturn and study the hexagon in greater detail, but for now, it remains one of the solar system's most baffling mysteries. When Cassini's findings were published, they ignited intense discussion among scientists, particularly those studying planetary atmospheres. Some researchers suggested that the hexagon might hold the key to understanding atmospheric circulation in extreme environments. If a similar pattern could be replicated in a controlled setting, it could help unlock secrets about weather patterns not just on Saturn, but on exoplanets with harsh conditions as well. Meanwhile, the general public remained fascinated. Documentaries, books, and online discussions delved into the topic, with some proposing outlandish theories that captured the imagination of space enthusiasts worldwide. Amateur astronomers turned their telescopes toward Saturn, hoping to catch a glimpse of the enigmatic storm with their own eyes. We are left with a profound realization: even in our own cosmic backyard, there are still phenomena that defy easy explanation. Saturn's hexagon is a reminder that the universe is far stranger than we often assume, that even in the well-charted territories of our own solar system, mysteries still linger, waiting for us to unravel them. And as we gaze at the swirling, six-sided storm, one question lingers in the back of our minds: is this truly a natural phenomenon, or are we missing something? Some deeper truth hidden within the clouds of Saturn. These eerily precise formations aren't confined to our own solar system. Across the vast reaches of space, similar geometric anomalies emerge, patterns so perfect they defy the randomness of nature, hinting at deeper cosmic forces at play. It started as nothing more than a statistical anomaly, just another curious oddity buried in the mountains of data collected by the Kepler Space Telescope, a minor irregularity, easily dismissed. But as astronomers examined the numbers, as they processed the images and scrutinized the light curves, they realized they had found something that should not exist: a structure, a pattern, a formation of heat and energy so precise, so impossibly symmetrical, that it defied every natural explanation. They called it the Kepler Triangle. It was located over 1,200 light-years away, in the direction of the Cygnus constellation, a region of space Kepler had been observing for years in its search for exoplanets. The telescope had scanned thousands of stars, identifying hundreds of worlds in the habitable zone. But amidst the countless ordinary readings, 3 points of unexplained thermal radiation formed an unmistakable triangular pattern. At first, the discovery was overlooked, dismissed as a simple alignment of random heat sources. But as researchers ran simulations and calculated the likelihood of such a formation occurring naturally, the probabilities collapsed into near impossibility. The 3 sources were not only equidistant, but emitted heat signatures far beyond anything expected in deep space. Stranger still, they seemed to pulse in sync, their emissions fluctuating in a rhythmic cycle, as if they were responding to some unseen force or each other. Speculation ran wild. Some scientists proposed that the heat sources were a cluster of rogue planets, their atmospheres mysteriously radiating energy. Others suggested an exotic cosmic phenomenon, perhaps the interaction of rare stellar remnants. But no theory accounted for the symmetry. No known natural process could explain why these 3 points, separated by vast interstellar distances, would be so perfectly aligned. Then came an even more baffling discovery. The light curves surrounding the Kepler Triangle exhibited an anomaly known as an irregular dimming event, similar to those observed around stars with suspected megastructures. In other words, something massive, something artificial, could be periodically obstructing light in the region. The sheer scale of what they were witnessing was staggering. If the formations were indeed artificial, the structure or structures would be larger than anything humanity had ever imagined. A Dyson swarm, a network of orbital constructs, a vast, interconnected system designed by an intelligence beyond comprehension. The possibilities were intoxicating and terrifying. As more telescopes were aimed at the region, things only became stranger. Radio observatories detected faint, intermittent signals, buried deep in the cosmic background noise. The signals were not random, nor were they natural. They exhibited structured repetition, complex enough to suggest intelligent origin, but they were weak, almost as if they were remnants of something long past, a ghostly echo from a civilization that had either vanished or no longer wished to be found. The scientific community splintered into factions. Skeptics argued that the signals could be the result of an undiscovered astrophysical process, some new form of pulsar behavior, or a unique interaction of stellar gases. Others insisted the symmetry of the Kepler Triangle could be explained by gravitational lensing or observational bias. But a smaller, more daring group entertained the unthinkable. What if this was proof of an ancient extraterrestrial megastructure? What if we had stumbled upon the remnants of something vast and powerful, an interstellar civilization that had built on a scale beyond human understanding? The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Conspiracy theories exploded across the internet. Was this evidence of an extinct alien empire, a long-abandoned fleet of generation ships, a functioning galactic outpost still operating in secrecy? Some even suggested that the pulsing heat signatures were not passive at all, that they were engines still running, waiting for something to activate them. Then something changed. A new burst of data arrived, this time from a powerful radio telescope array designed to detect distant exoplanet atmospheres. The Kepler Triangle had flared up again, this time emitting a pulse of infrared radiation so intense that it was detected even through the vast distances of space. It lasted precisely 32 minutes and 16 seconds before fading away. The signature did not match any known astrophysical event. The rhythm of the pulses was analyzed. The numbers they produced were not random, they formed a sequence. One eerily familiar to scientists and mathematicians alike. The exact ratio of the 3 points in the Kepler Triangle matched the mathematical constants used in trigonometry, a perfect expression of the Pythagorean theorem. The implication was staggering. Either the universe had somehow produced, by sheer coincidence, a formation of cosmic bodies that just happened to align with one of the most fundamental principles of human mathematics, or someone, or something, had designed it that way. A message. If it was a message encoded not in language, but in the very fabric of the cosmos. A message waiting for someone intelligent enough to recognize it. NASA and international space agencies launched a campaign to focus every available instrument on the Kepler Triangle. The James Webb Space Telescope was tasked with capturing the most detailed infrared images of the region ever taken. The results only deepened the mystery. Around each of the 3 heat sources, there were traces of structured material, something with a complex molecular signature that did not match any known form of naturally occurring dust or gas. It wasn't rock, it wasn't ice, it wasn't gas, it was something else entirely. Even more unsettling, spectral analysis suggested that whatever it was arranged in repeating patterns. Then, the signals stopped, the heat sources dimmed, the periodic pulses of radiation ceased. The entire formation fell into silence, as if it had been watching, waiting, and now that it knew it had been seen, it had decided to disappear. What had humanity just stumbled upon? In the years that followed, scientists continued to study the region, but no further anomalies were detected. The Kepler Triangle became one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the cosmos, a riddle that remained unanswered. Some believed that whatever had been there was now dormant, an artifact of an ancient intelligence that had long since moved on. Others feared something more ominous, that we had been noticed, and that whoever or whatever had built the Kepler Triangle had chosen, for reasons unknown, to remain hidden. The last official report on the subject concluded with a statement that did little to satisfy the growing questions. The Kepler Triangle remains an unexplained astrophysical anomaly. Further investigation is required, but among those who had been watching, among the few who truly understood the implications, the real question was far more unsettling. Was it still watching us back? Phenomena like these force us to question the very nature of the universe, what unseen forces, or perhaps even intelligences, might be shaping it. How can some cosmic structures display such eerie precision, while elsewhere, we find vast expanses of emptiness, devoid of stars, as if something has carved them out of existence? It was an anomaly that defied the very fabric of the universe. A vast, gaping void in space, colder than it had any right to be. A place where the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in the universe, seemed to whisper a mystery that scientists still struggle to explain. The discovery of the cold spot, as it would come to be known, began with the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, Uumuamua, and was later confirmed by the more advanced Planck satellite. These instruments were tasked with mapping the cosmic microwave background radiation, or CMB, the afterglow of the Big Bang. This faint radiation spread across the universe, carries the fingerprints of the cosmos' earliest moments, a perfect relic of its fiery birth. Scientists expected to see tiny fluctuations in temperature, slight variations left over from the chaos of creation, but then they found something that should not exist. A patch of the sky, deep in the southern hemisphere of the celestial sphere, near the constellation Eridanus, was far colder than expected, and not just slightly, dramatically. The cold spot spanned nearly 1 billion light-years across, a region of space where the average temperature was significantly lower than the rest of the cosmic microwave background. It was vast, eerie, and unlike anything else in the observable universe. At first, astronomers assumed it was an error, a calibration issue with the instruments, a mistake in the data processing. But when Planck, with its superior resolution, confirmed the findings, doubt turned to intrigue. The cold spot was real. The question was, what caused it? The most conventional explanation was a supervoid, a colossal region of space with fewer galaxies, less matter, and therefore less energy. These voids are common in the large-scale structure of the universe, forming a vast cosmic web of galaxies, filaments, and empty expanses. But this one, if it was a void, was unlike any other. It was too big, too empty. A void of this magnitude was theoretically possible, but had never been observed before. Some estimates suggested it contained 10,000 fewer galaxies than expected, yet, even the supervoid hypothesis failed to fully account for the temperature dip. The physics of how such a void could cool the CMB, that much didn't quite add up. Something was missing. The mystery deepened, and so did the speculation. If a supervoid wasn't the cause, what else could it be? One radical idea came from the realm of theoretical physics. Perhaps the cold spot was evidence of something even more extraordinary, a collision between our universe and another. Some physicists proposed that if our universe is just one of many in a grand cosmic multiverse, then at some point in its history, it might have brushed against another, leaving behind a scar in the form of this bizarre cold region. Such an event would rewrite our understanding of reality itself, proving that our cosmos is not alone, but one of many, stacked in dimensions beyond our perception. The implications of this idea were staggering. If true, it would mean that the boundaries of our universe are not as impermeable as once thought, that somewhere beyond the limits of what we can see, another universe exists, perhaps one vastly different from our own. It would redefine the very nature of existence, forcing scientists to reconsider the fundamental laws of physics and cosmology. The scientific community was divided. While some entertained the idea as an exciting possibility, others remained skeptical. The multiverse, while a compelling concept, is difficult, if not impossible, to prove. There is no known way to test or observe other universes beyond our own. If the cold spot was evidence of such a collision, how could we ever confirm it? Others turned to alternative explanations. Could an unknown form of exotic matter be lurking in this region, sapping energy from the CMB in a way never before observed? Could it be the result of an unexplained quantum effect stretching across cosmic scales? Every answer seemed to lead to more questions, deepening the mystery rather than solving it. What made the cold spot even more baffling was that its existence directly challenged the assumptions underpinning the standard model of cosmology. The distribution of temperature fluctuations in the CMB is supposed to be largely random, dictated by inflationary processes in the early universe. Yet, the cold spot was an anomaly on a scale that should not exist within those constraints. If it was simply a statistical fluke, then it was one of the most extreme outliers in cosmic history. If it wasn't a fluke, then it pointed to an unknown mechanism influencing the structure of the universe itself, something yet to be discovered or understood. The public, however, was fascinated. The idea that our universe might have physically interacted with another ignited imaginations across the globe. Science fiction had long toyed with the notion of parallel universes, but here was a tangible anomaly that, if proven, could make those stories a reality. Articles, documentaries, and discussions filled the media, with some speculating that this was the first real clue that we are part of something much larger than we ever imagined. Online forums and social media exploded with theories, ranging from the plausible to the wildly speculative. Some believed the cold spot was evidence of extraterrestrial megastructures, remnants of an ancient alien civilization manipulating cosmic energy on an unfathomable scale. Others speculated that it was a rift in space-time, a portal to another dimension, or a gateway to an unknown cosmic phenomenon. Though mainstream scientists dismissed these ideas, they underscored humanity's deep desire to understand the unknown. Meanwhile, astronomers continued their search for answers. Further surveys of the region showed that, while it did contain a lower density of galaxies, it was still unclear whether this was enough to cause the temperature discrepancy. Some scientists suggested that the cold spot might be the result of statistical chance, an extreme but natural fluctuation in the cosmic microwave background. If true, it would be nothing more than a cosmic coincidence, an oddity but not an earth-shattering one. But others weren't so sure. The scale, the depth, the sheer anomaly of it. Something about the cold spot still didn't sit right. The data wasn't definitive, and until a solid explanation could be agreed upon, the mystery remained open. Philosophers and physicists alike weighed in on the significance of the discovery. If the multiverse theory was correct, it would challenge long-held assumptions about the uniqueness of our cosmos. Are there other universes with different laws of physics? Could life exist in these alternate realities? The cold spot was no longer just an astrophysical curiosity, it had become a gateway to profound existential questions. Even today, the cold spot stands as one of the greatest cosmic enigmas. A billion light-year wide irregularity, a possible scar from a cosmic event beyond human comprehension, or a doorway to new physics waiting to be unlocked. Whatever the answer may be, it serves as a reminder of how little we truly know about the universe we call home. A question lingers in the silence of that empty space. Was this the mark of another universe colliding with our own? Or is it something stranger still? Something we have yet to even imagine. Although we don't know if alternate universes exist, much less if they can collide, we do know that galaxies can collide. And for us, that fate isn't just possible, it's unavoidable. The countdown has already begun. The universe is not static, it is a dynamic, ever-changing landscape where galaxies dance in slow, inevitable collisions. One of the most breathtaking and significant events in the cosmos is the future collision between the Milky Way and its neighboring galaxy, Andromeda. Scientists have long predicted this celestial encounter, an event that will reshape our galaxy in ways beyond imagination. And yet, despite its inevitability, the sheer scale of the collision makes it one of the most awe-inspiring and mysterious occurrences in the universe. At a staggering speed of approximately 110 kilometers per second, Andromeda is hurtling toward us. Currently located about 2.5 million light-years away, its approach is relentless, governed by the inexorable pull of gravity. The collision is estimated to occur about 4.5 billion years from now, a distant future by human standards, yet a mere blink in the grand timeline of the cosmos. When it happens, the skies will be forever altered. Stars will be tossed into new orbits. The structure of both galaxies will be irrevocably changed, and over time, they will merge to form a new, larger elliptical galaxy that scientists have dubbed Milkomeda. The realization that our home galaxy is destined for such a dramatic fate has fascinated and unsettled astronomers for decades. The initial confirmation of Andromeda's trajectory came from Edwin Hubble's observations in the early 20th century, but it wasn't until modern telescopes and precise measurements from the Hubble Space Telescope in 2012 that scientists confirmed the collision was not just likely, it was certain. This revelation sent shockwaves through the astronomical community, forcing researchers to reconsider long-held assumptions about galaxy evolution and cosmic interactions. One of the most perplexing aspects of this impending collision is that despite the enormous scale of both galaxies, the vast majority of stars will not actually collide. Galaxies are mostly empty space. Even with billions of stars, the distances between them are so vast that direct star-on-star impacts will be incredibly rare. Instead, gravitational forces will dictate the outcome, pulling and warping the galaxies into new shapes before they eventually coalesce. However, while individual stars may be safe, the chaos in interstellar space will likely trigger the formation of new stars. Clouds of gas and dust will compress under gravitational influence, igniting a fresh wave of stellar births and potentially creating dazzling nebulae visible throughout the galaxies. But what exactly causes this collision to happen? The primary culprit is dark matter, the invisible, enigmatic substance that makes up approximately 85% of the total mass in the universe. Though it cannot be directly observed, its gravitational effects are profound. Dark matter forms a vast cosmic web, connecting and shaping galaxies through its immense gravitational pull. Both the Milky Way and Andromeda reside within their own dark matter halos, and as these halos interact, they act like unseen currents pulling the galaxies inexorably toward each other. Understanding dark matter's role in this process remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern astrophysics, as its influence extends far beyond just galaxy collisions. It shapes the very structure of the cosmos itself. Another factor contributing to the collision is the expansion of the universe. While distant galaxies are moving away from us due to cosmic expansion, Andromeda's proximity and its local gravitational interactions with the Milky Way override this effect, drawing it closer instead of pushing it away. This interplay between cosmic expansion and gravitational attraction is a fascinating exception to the general rule of an expanding universe, offering scientists a rare insight into the mechanics of galactic movement. The sheer enormity of this event has sparked curiosity and even existential contemplation among the general public. When news of the collision first gained widespread attention, it led to sensationalist interpretations. Many speculated whether Earth would be doomed. Scientists, however, reassured that while the night sky will undergo a profound transformation, our solar system is unlikely to be flung into intergalactic space or directly affected in a catastrophic way. By the time the collision reaches its climax, the Sun itself will be approaching the end of its lifespan, transitioning into a red giant. The fate of Earth, therefore, may be determined by solar evolution rather than galactic turmoil. Yet the event carries deeper implications beyond just our galaxy. Similar mergers have been observed in distant parts of the universe, offering valuable insights into how galaxies evolve. The collision between the antennae galaxies, for instance, provides a glimpse into what may become of the Milky Way and Andromeda, a chaotic, swirling dance of star formation, gas compression, and structural realignment. By studying these distant mergers, scientists hope to predict the finer details of our own galactic destiny. The collision also fuels discussions about the long-term future of intelligent civilizations. If humanity or its distant descendants still exist by then, whether on Earth, Mars, or among the stars, they will witness one of the most spectacular cosmic events imaginable. The night sky will transform as Andromeda stretches across the heavens, growing larger and brighter over millions of years, until it finally merges with the Milky Way. It will be a sight unlike any other in the history of our species, a front-row seat to the cosmos in motion. Perhaps even more intriguing is the question of what lies beyond this merger. As galaxies evolve, they are influenced not only by their immediate surroundings, but also by their place in the larger cosmic structure. Milkomeda, the eventual product of the Milky Way-Andromeda collision, will not exist in isolation. Our local group, a collection of more than 50 galaxies, is itself being drawn toward the even larger Virgo cluster. Over time, these structures will merge as well, continuing a cycle of galactic interactions that has been unfolding for billions of years. But beyond the scientific and astronomical fascination, the Great Galactic Collision serves as a profound reminder of our place in the universe. It is a testament to the grand, unrelenting forces that shape the cosmos, forces far beyond human control or influence. It is a story not of destruction, but of rebirth, of transformation, of cosmic inevitability. It is a future written in the stars, a destiny that, for all its enormity, connects us to the vast, ever-changing universe in which we exist. Even now, astronomers continue to refine their models, simulating the intricate dance of gravity that will unfold billions of years from now. Supercomputers process vast amounts of data, predicting not just the collision's outcome, but the role of dark matter, the movement of interstellar gas, and the fate of satellite galaxies caught in the gravitational crossfire. With each new piece of data, our understanding of galactic evolution deepens, but the fundamental truth remains. The collision is coming, and nothing can stop it. Perhaps the most fascinating thought of all is that, somewhere in Andromeda, alien astronomers, if they exist, may be looking at the Milky Way right now, studying its trajectory, making the same predictions, and pondering the same cosmic fate. We are not just observers of this great event, we are participants, cosmic passengers in a journey that spans billions of years. And one day, long after we are gone, our galaxy will be reborn, reshaped by the inevitable embrace of its celestial counterpart. In the chaotic dance of the cosmos, most things inevitably collide, merging into something new or vanishing entirely. But what happens when something refuses to yield, when a lone survivor defies the crushing forces around it and endures against all odds? It was an event that defied all logic, a moment in time that should not have been possible. In the far reaches of our galaxy, orbiting a dying red giant star, was a planet. It was an ancient world, older than Earth, battered by time and radiation. But that wasn't what made it strange. What made it strange was that it should have been gone. Astronomers first detected the anomaly in 2015. A team of researchers using the Kepler Space Telescope had been cataloging exoplanets, identifying distant worlds by observing the tiny dips in starlight caused when a planet passed in front of its host star. That was when they noticed something odd. A planet, one that had no right to exist, was orbiting a star that was supposed to have destroyed it. The star in question was in its final stages of life, expanding outward into a red giant. This was a natural process, something that all stars of its type eventually undergo. As a star nears the end of its lifespan, it swells to enormous proportions, engulfing anything in its path. When our own sun reaches this stage, it will consume Mercury, Venus, and quite possibly Earth. The heat and pressure alone will be enough to turn any remaining planets into molten wastelands before their very atoms are stripped away. But this planet was still there, intact, and that was impossible. The data was checked, double-checked. Other telescopes were pointed at the star, verifying the findings. But the conclusion was the same. The planet existed, orbiting far too close to a star that should have destroyed it long ago. Theories began to emerge. Perhaps the planet had only recently arrived in its current position, knocked into its deadly orbit by some unseen gravitational interaction. But that didn't make sense. The odds of such an event happening so recently, just as we happened to be observing it, were astronomically small. Another theory suggested that the planet was a remnant of something larger, the shattered core of a world that had already been partially consumed. But the planet was whole, and there were no signs of the immense destruction such an event would have left behind. Then came a third, more unsettling idea. What if the planet hadn't survived the expansion of the star by chance? What if something, or someone, had saved it? It was a concept that was difficult to accept. The idea that an intelligent force could manipulate the position of an entire planet, keeping it in place, despite the overwhelming forces that should have destroyed it, bordered on the impossible. And yet, the more scientists studied the anomaly, the less sense it made. Planets do not just defy the death of their stars, not without help. And then, something even stranger happened. As astronomers continued to observe the planet, they noticed fluctuations in its brightness, not the kind caused by atmospheric interference or cloud cover, but something else entirely. The light reflected from the planet's surface was changing in irregular patterns, shifting in a way that no natural process could explain. It was as if something on the surface was moving. The discovery sent the scientific community into chaos. Was it geological activity, some bizarre unknown form of weather, or was it something artificial? The idea was terrifying. If these changes were caused by artificial structures, massive, world-spanning constructs, they would have to be incomprehensibly large. The kind of engineering that would dwarf anything humans could ever hope to build. And if something was still active on that planet, what did that mean? Had an ancient civilization survived the death of its star? Had they somehow shielded their world from destruction, defying the very laws of astrophysics to ensure their survival? And if so, were they still there? There was no way to be certain. The distance was too great for detailed imaging. No probes could be sent, no signals could be transmitted in time to receive an answer. The only thing we could do was watch. And then in 2023, the planet disappeared. Not physically, it was still there, but the irregular light fluctuations that had been so carefully observed for years were suddenly gone. The patterns of shifting brightness, the changes in its reflection, all ceased in an instant. The planet became still, silent. Had something happened? Had whatever force preserved it finally failed? Had its inhabitants, if there were any, met their end? Or had they simply turned their attention elsewhere? There are things in this universe that we do not understand, mysteries that defy our science, our logic, our very sense of reality. This planet was one of them, a world that should not have existed, orbiting a dying sun that should have consumed it, and then just as suddenly as we had found it, it had gone quiet. The search continues. Astronomers still aim their telescopes toward that distant star, hoping for another flicker of movement, another whisper from the void. But as of now, there is nothing, just an empty, silent world, defying the laws of nature. And perhaps, somewhere out there, something watching us back. But this raises even more questions. If a civilization did exist on this planet, how long had they been there? Could they have been ancient beyond our comprehension, predating even our earliest ancestors on Earth? What kind of technology would it take to resist the death of a star? Was it a planetary shield, a form of advanced terraforming, or something beyond even our wildest imagination? Some researchers began to wonder, could they have left? If the planet was still intact, but had gone silent, could it be that its inhabitants had simply moved on? And if they had, where did they go? Did they find another world, another star? Could they be somewhere even closer than we realize, observing us just as we were observing them? And then comes the most unsettling thought of all. What if they knew we were watching? The sudden stillness of the planet, the abrupt end of its light fluctuations, was it truly a natural phenomenon? Or was it a response? A reaction to our attention? Had we, by looking too closely, somehow revealed ourselves? This idea is troubling, for more than one reason. We have long wondered whether we are alone in the universe. We have sent signals, launched probes, done everything in our power to reach out into the void, hoping for an answer. But what if the answer was already there? What if something had been watching us back this entire time, waiting for the moment when we finally noticed it, and when we did, it went silent? Was it a warning, a decision to hide, or something far worse? The universe is vast, filled with wonders and horrors beyond our understanding. We continue to search, to analyze, to theorize, but in the end we are left with a single chilling fact. A planet that should not have existed was there, and now, it is silent. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: we are not prepared for the answer. The universe is full of anomalies that defy our understanding, but perhaps the greatest mystery of all is something we can't even see, yet it shapes the very fabric of reality itself. The universe is built on a mystery. Everything we see, the planets, stars, galaxies, makes up less than 5% of the cosmos. The rest, it is invisible, undetectable, and largely unexplained. Scientists call it dark matter and dark energy, two of the greatest enigmas in modern physics. These unseen forces shape the very fabric of the universe, dictating its structure and its fate. Yet we have never directly observed either. We know they exist only through their effects, like ghosts in the cosmic machine, influencing everything but revealing nothing. The concept of dark matter first emerged in the 1930s, when astronomers noticed something peculiar: galaxies were spinning too fast. Based on visible mass alone, they should have been flinging themselves apart, their outer stars drifting into the void. And yet they held together as if something unseen was providing the necessary gravitational pull. The same phenomenon was observed in galactic clusters. Something was holding them together, something with mass, yet completely invisible. The calculations were undeniable. There was more mass in the universe than what we could see, much more. But if dark matter was an unseen scaffolding holding galaxies together, dark energy was something else entirely, something even stranger. In the late 1990s, observations of distant supernovae revealed that the expansion of the universe wasn't slowing down, as expected, but accelerating. This meant some unknown force was counteracting gravity on the largest scales, pushing galaxies apart faster and faster. It was an impossible revelation, one that shattered our understanding of physics. If dark matter was the glue, then dark energy was the great divider, a force seemingly woven into the cosmos itself, dictating the ultimate fate of existence. Despite decades of study, dark matter remains elusive. It does not emit, absorb, or reflect light. It does not interact with the electromagnetic spectrum at all. It passes through us, through Earth, through entire galaxies without a trace. Theories abound. Some suggest it consists of exotic particles like WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles, or axions. Others propose modifications to gravity itself, but no experiment has yet confirmed its true nature. We are surrounded by an invisible ocean of mass, yet we do not know what it is. To make matters more perplexing, dark matter appears to clump together in massive halos surrounding galaxies, forming an unseen scaffold that dictates the shape of the cosmic web. Without it, galaxies might never have formed in the first place. Some simulations suggest that without dark matter's influence, the universe would be a very different place, perhaps one in which life, as we know it, could never have emerged. It raises an unsettling possibility. Is dark matter not just a passive player, but an essential ingredient for the existence of everything we hold dear? Dark energy is even more perplexing. Is it a property of space itself, a fifth fundamental force, a fluctuating field that ebbs and flows throughout time? Some theories suggest it might be tied to the mysterious vacuum energy predicted by quantum mechanics, while others hint at something even more profound, a force that is not merely a property of the universe, but an indication of deeper hidden layers of reality. And then come the more unsettling questions. If dark matter and dark energy make up 95% of the universe, then in a very real sense, we are the anomaly. Everything we call matter, everything we understand, is just a thin veil stretched over a far greater and more mysterious cosmos. What if we have it all backward? What if we, the visible matter, are the true oddity, and dark matter and energy are the true foundation of reality? Some physicists have even speculated that dark matter is not merely matter at all, but something else entirely, a hidden layer of the universe, perhaps even an entire parallel reality, interacting with our own only through gravity. Could dark matter be the remnants of a previous cosmos, a gravitational shadow of a past universe seeping into our own, or could it be something even stranger? Evidence of unseen dimensions. A form of matter that exists outside our three-dimensional perception. There is also the possibility that dark matter is not a singular entity, but a collection of many different exotic particles, each playing its own role in shaping the universe. Could there be an entire dark sector, filled with dark atoms, dark planets, even dark life, existing parallel to our own reality, unseen and undetectable? And if dark energy is pushing the universe apart, where is it leading? Will it continue accelerating forever, tearing galaxies away from each other, until only a cold, empty void remains? Or could it reach a critical threshold, flipping the laws of physics in ways we cannot yet predict? Some have theorized about the Big Rip, a future where dark energy grows so powerful that it eventually rips apart galaxies, stars, planets, and even atoms themselves, unraveling reality at its most fundamental level. Yet we are left with nothing but questions. Despite all of our technology, all of our observations, dark matter and dark energy remain elusive, existing just beyond our reach. Particle detectors, deep underground search for fleeting interactions, telescopes scan the heavens for subtle distortions in the fabric of space-time, and still, they evade us, revealing only glimpses, only hints of their presence. The implications of these mysteries are staggering. If we could unlock the secrets of dark matter and dark energy, we might uncover new physics, new forces, perhaps even new ways to manipulate reality itself. Could understanding dark energy allow us to control the expansion of the universe? Could unlocking dark matter reveal hidden aspects of existence, opening the door to breakthroughs in energy, space travel, or even the understanding of consciousness itself? If dark energy is truly an inherent property of space itself, then it may be the key to interstellar travel. Some have speculated that by understanding and manipulating dark energy, humanity might one day develop faster than light travel, or even warp drives, bending space itself to traverse the cosmos in ways we currently consider impossible. Could dark energy be the missing ingredient that transforms us from a civilization bound to one planet into an intergalactic species? Or perhaps the answer is more humbling. Perhaps we will one day find that we are not meant to understand at all, that some aspects of the universe will forever remain hidden from us. Just as an ant cannot comprehend the vastness of the sky, perhaps dark matter and dark energy are the ultimate reminders that for all our knowledge we are still children, staring into the dark, trying to make sense of something far greater than ourselves. For now, the cosmos keeps its secrets. The galaxies spin, held together by unseen forces. The universe expands, driven by an energy we do not understand, and we, tiny and fragile, float between the two, caught in a mystery that may define the very nature of reality itself. It is clear that the cosmos contains unseen forces, but what happens when these invisible influences reach beyond the fabric of space itself and begin to interfere with our very attempts to understand it? It started with a journey unlike any other. When NASA launched the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft in the early 1970s, they were designed to go where no human-made object had gone before, beyond the known reaches of our solar system, into the vast and endless dark. They carried golden plaques with messages for any extraterrestrial life that might find them, and their mission was to explore Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond, sending back data until they finally drifted into the unknown. But decades later, scientists noticed something strange. Pioneer 10 and 11 weren't where they were supposed to be. Something was slowing them down, ever so slightly, but unmistakably. They were veering off course. The difference was minuscule, an acceleration toward the sun, weaker than the weight of a single strand of human hair. And yet, it was there, consistent and unexplained. Every effort to account for it using known physics, gravitational influences, solar radiation, and even gas leaks from the spacecraft failed to provide a complete answer. The Pioneer Anomaly, as it came to be known, became one of the most perplexing mysteries in space exploration. At first, scientists believed it had to be an error in the data, maybe a malfunction in the aging instruments, or a miscalculation in the tracking software. But as the years went by and the anomaly persisted, affecting both spacecraft in nearly identical ways, that explanation became harder to justify. The data was real, and it meant one of two things. Either something unknown was influencing the spacecraft, or there was a fundamental flaw in our understanding of the laws of physics. The implications were staggering. If Newton's laws or Einstein's theories of relativity, bedrocks of modern physics, needed even the slightest modification, it could upend everything we thought we knew about the forces governing the universe. But if it wasn't physics itself that was wrong, then what was it? One of the first hypotheses was heat. The spacecraft generated internal heat from their power sources, and some scientists suggested that the uneven emission of this heat could be creating a tiny force, nudging the probes ever so slightly off course. But calculations showed that while heat could account for some of the anomaly, it couldn't explain it completely. Something else was at work. Others proposed more exotic ideas. Could there be a hidden force in the universe, something we had never detected before? Perhaps a new kind of gravitational interaction, or even a sign of dark matter, an invisible substance thought to make up most of the mass in the universe. Some even speculated that the anomaly could be evidence of a new, undiscovered force of nature, one that only became apparent at extreme distances from the sun. And then, there were the more unsettling theories. Could it be that the Pioneer spacecraft were encountering something out there, something we didn't expect? A hidden structure in space, an unknown celestial body exerting a force upon them, or even, as some theorists dared to suggest, a sign of extraterrestrial interference. After all, the Pioneer probes were the first human-made objects to leave the solar system. Could it be that something or someone noticed them? The public was enthralled by the mystery. Media outlets picked up on the story, and conspiracy theories ran rampant. Some claimed that NASA had hidden the true nature of the anomaly, that the Pioneer probes had encountered something they weren't supposed to. Others speculated that the probes had crossed into a region of space where the very laws of physics began to break down, or that they were being pulled towards something unknown, a massive force lurking just beyond our perception. The scientific community remained divided. Some researchers insisted that there had to be a mundane explanation, one that didn't require rewriting physics or invoking alien intervention. Others, however, saw the anomaly as a tantalizing clue that the universe was far more mysterious than we had ever imagined. Years passed, and the Pioneer probes continued their lonely drift into the void, their signals growing fainter with each passing year. Scientists pored over the data, running countless simulations, reanalyzing decades-old transmissions, searching for the missing piece of the puzzle. And then, finally, a breakthrough. In 2012, after years of investigation, a group of researchers proposed a solution that seemed to fit the data. The anomaly was caused by thermal recoil force. Essentially, heat radiating asymmetrically from the spacecraft was creating a tiny constant push, just enough to account for the deviation in their trajectories. It was a mundane explanation, but one that satisfied the equations. The mystery, it seemed, had been solved, but not everyone was convinced. Even with this explanation, some physicists argued that deeper questions remained. If thermal radiation was the answer, why had it taken so long to confirm? Why hadn't the effect been noticed in other deep space missions? Was it truly the whole story, or just a convenient answer to make the anomaly go away? And then there was the strangest question of all. If a force as tiny as thermal radiation could subtly alter the trajectory of a spacecraft over decades, what else might it be affecting? Could there be other forces at work in the cosmos, unseen and unaccounted for, slowly nudging celestial objects in ways we have yet to understand? Could entire planets, even galaxies, be shifting due to forces we have yet to recognize? The Pioneer Anomaly was officially solved, but its legacy remained. It had forced scientists to question long-held assumptions, to rethink the subtle forces at play in space, and to acknowledge that even in the age of high-tech space exploration, there were still things we didn't fully understand. And perhaps the most haunting aspect of all was the realization that we only noticed the Pioneer Anomaly because we happened to track these spacecraft so precisely, for so long. How many other small, unexplained forces might be at work in the universe, ones that we have never detected, simply because we haven't looked closely enough? Pioneer 10 and 11 are still out there, somewhere in the interstellar void, drifting further from home with each passing second. Their signals have long since faded to silence, and whatever mysteries they might have encountered on their journey will remain forever unknown. But their legacy endures, a reminder that even the smallest deviations, the tiniest inconsistencies, can hold the key to unraveling the deepest secrets of the cosmos. The universe is vast, and our understanding of it is still incomplete. If something as simple as a spacecraft's trajectory can defy expectations for decades, what other mysteries might still be waiting for us in the darkness? And perhaps the most unsettling thought of all, what if somewhere out there, the Pioneer probes are still being watched? While the mysterious force slowing the Pioneer probes was eventually unraveled, the universe holds far greater enigmas, forces so powerful and obscure that they can manipulate entire stars in ways we have yet to understand. One such mystery unfolded in the year 2006, captivating the astronomical community and sparking debates that continue to this day. It began on February 21, 2006, when astronomers utilizing the Hubble Space Telescope's advanced camera for surveys were conducting a routine survey of a galaxy cluster nestled in the constellation Boötes. Their objective was straightforward: to observe and catalog celestial objects within this cluster. However, what they stumbled upon was anything but ordinary. A peculiar object appeared in their observations, an anomaly that defied classification. This object, later designated as SCP-06F6, exhibited characteristics unlike anything previously documented. It brightened over approximately 100 days, reaching a peak magnitude of 21, and then dimmed over a similar time frame. Such a prolonged brightening and fading period was unusual, especially when compared to known supernovae, which typically reach peak brightness much more rapidly. The object's light spectrum added another layer of mystery. Traditional methods of determining cosmic distances rely on identifying specific spectral lines corresponding to known elements. However, SCP-06F66 spectrum was enigmatic. The lines didn't match any known patterns. Attempts to attribute these lines to familiar elements proved futile, leaving scientists without a clear understanding of its composition or distance. Was it a phenomenon within our own galaxy, or was it an event occurring in a distant corner of the universe? The data provided no definitive answers. What made this event even more puzzling was the lack of any known progenitor or context. Typically, when astronomers observe a supernovae, they can trace its origins to a dying star or a white dwarf in a binary system. However, SCP-06F6 appeared in a region of space that was seemingly empty. There was no visible host galaxy, no detectable surrounding material, nothing that could provide a hint as to what had caused this incredible outburst of energy. It was as if something had ignited and then faded back into obscurity without any discernible source. The astronomical community buzzed with speculation. Some proposed that SCP-06F6 might be an unconventional supernovae, perhaps a type that had yet to be observed. Others theorized about more exotic origins, such as the collision between a white dwarf and a black hole. Each hypothesis, while intriguing, lacked concrete evidence, and the true nature of SCP-06F6 remained elusive. Months later, in August 2006, the European X-ray satellite XMM Newton observed an unexpected X-ray glow emanating from the region of SCP-06F6. This emission was 2 orders of magnitude more luminous than that of typical supernovae, adding yet another perplexing piece to the puzzle. The intense X-ray radiation suggested that whatever had occurred was an extraordinarily energetic event, but its exact nature was still a matter of conjecture. This wasn't just a typical explosion, it was something far more violent and extreme. The presence of X-rays meant that some form of high-energy process had taken place, potentially involving a compact object like a neutron star or black hole, but there was still no visible remnant. Normally, a supernova leaves behind a neutron star or black hole, with X-rays being emitted as the surrounding matter falls into it. Yet SCP-06F6 showed no lingering emissions beyond the initial burst, making it seem as though the object had simply vanished after its display. In 2009, further observations from the Palomar Transient Factory provided additional insights. These observations indicated a redshift of Z equals sign 1.189, suggesting that SCP-06F6 was an extragalactic event located billions of light-years away. The calculated peak magnitude was -23.5 absolute, placing it among the most luminous transient phenomena known at that time. This discovery lent weight to the idea that SCP-06F6 might represent a new class of superluminous supernovae, but the lack of a definitive spectral match continued to confound researchers. One particularly compelling hypothesis emerged from a team at the University of Warwick. They proposed that SCP-06F6 could be the result of the core collapse and explosion of a carbon-rich star. This theory was based on the observation that the light spectrum was consistent with emission from a cool carbon-rich atmosphere at a redshift of approximately 0.14. If true, this would position SCP-06F6 as a unique event, shedding light on previously unobserved stellar death processes. Alternatively, Israeli astronomers from the Technion suggested that the phenomenon might be due to the tidal disruption of a carbon-oxygen white dwarf by an intermediate-mass black hole. In this scenario, the gravitational forces of the black hole would tear apart the white dwarf, leading to the observed emissions. While this explanation was plausible, it was challenging to verify due to the lack of direct observational evidence. But what made SCP-06F6 truly haunting was the way it defied all expectations. Unlike other transient events that typically left behind some form of a detectable remnant, this one simply faded into the void. No lingering radiation, no gravitational disturbances, no trace of what had come before. It was as if whatever had caused this explosion had erased itself from existence immediately afterward. The scientific community was deeply divided. Some astronomers saw SCP-06F6 as an anomaly that could eventually be explained with more data, while others viewed it as a hint of something fundamentally new. There were whispers among theorists that perhaps this was evidence of an entirely unknown astrophysical process, something that had never been seen before. Others, more boldly, speculated about even stranger possibilities. Was it possible that SCP-06F6 was artificial in origin? Could this have been the signature of an advanced extraterrestrial event, a technological occurrence on a scale beyond human comprehension? These ideas, while largely speculative, touched on a fundamental truth. The universe is vast, and our understanding of it is still in its infancy. There are phenomena occurring in the cosmos that we are simply not yet equipped to understand. SCP-06F6 serves as a stark reminder that even with our most advanced telescopes and theoretical models, there are still things out there that completely defy explanation. As the years passed, SCP-06F6 became a focal point for studies on transient luminous events. Its unique characteristics prompted astronomers to refine their models and expand their search for similar phenomena. However, despite continued monitoring, no other event quite like it has been observed since. It remains a lone anomaly, a cosmic enigma, that refuses to yield its secrets. This mysterious event serves as a reminder of how much there is still to learn about the universe. Each discovery, whether it provides answers or raises new questions, propels us forward in our quest to understand the cosmos. SCP-06F6 remains a testament to the wonders that await us in the vast, uncharted territories of space. In the end, the story of SCP-06F6 is not just about an unexplained astronomical event, it's about the spirit of scientific inquiry. It's about the relentless pursuit of knowledge and the willingness to embrace the unknown. As we continue to gaze into the depths of space, we can be certain that more mysteries like SCP-06F6 await discovery, each one challenging us to expand the horizons of our understanding. And perhaps the most chilling thought of all, what if SCP-06F6 wasn't a one-time occurrence? What if similar events are happening all across the universe, their signals just too faint, too fleeting for us to detect? How many other strange and unexplainable things are happening right now in the depths of the cosmos, just beyond our reach? One day, we may have the answers. Or perhaps SCP-06F6 will remain forever in the realm of the unknown, a ghostly flicker in the night sky that came and went without explanation, a whisper from the universe, hinting at something far greater than we ever imagined. While some of these fleeting anomalies vanish as quickly as they appear, others persist, still burning bright, defying explanation, and challenging our understanding of the cosmos. It started with an ordinary observation. Astronomers using NASA's Kepler Space Telescope were scanning distant star systems, searching for exoplanets worlds beyond our own, hidden in the endless black. Kepler had been doing this for years, detecting thousands of planets by measuring tiny dips in a star's brightness as an orbiting world passed in front of it. It was a reliable method, a proven technique, but then they found something that didn't make sense. In 2015, a team of researchers analyzing Kepler's data came across a star unlike any they had seen before. Officially designated KRC 8462852, it lay nearly 1,500 light-years away in the Cygnus constellation. To the naked eye, it was unremarkable, an average F-type main-sequence star, slightly larger and hotter than our Sun. It was a little over 1 billion years old, far younger than our own solar system, and in the prime of its stellar life. Scientists had studied thousands of similar stars in their hunt for exoplanets, and none had ever exhibited anything unusual. But its light, its patterns of dimming and brightening, were unlike anything known in astrophysics. Stars with planets exhibit periodic, predictable dips in brightness. A planet transiting across the face of a star blocks only a fraction of a percent of its light. Even large gas giants like Jupiter cause only minor reductions in luminosity. But KRC 8462852 was different. The dips weren't small, they were huge, sudden, chaotic. At irregular intervals, the star's brightness would drop by as much as 22%. That's not something a planet could do. Even a massive planet like Jupiter would only dim its star by about 1%. To cause a 22% dip, whatever was passing in front of the star had to be enormous, and the dips weren't following any recognizable orbital pattern. They didn't repeat consistently like a planet's transit would. The team, led by astronomer Tabetha Boyajian, was perplexed. They ran through every natural explanation they could think of. Maybe there was an unusually large cloud of comets swarming the star, but no known comet swarm could be dense enough to block that much light. Maybe the star was undergoing some kind of internal change, but its spectral readings showed no signs of a typical stellar cycle or instability. The data was sent to astronomers around the world. Telescopes pointed toward KRC 8462852, searching for clues. Years of additional observation only deepened the mystery. The star continued to dim in bizarre, unpredictable ways. Unlike a supernova or a variable star, this wasn't a one-time event. It was ongoing, stretching across years. As word of the discovery spread, the scientific community was divided. Some dismissed the findings as observational errors, a misinterpretation of data. Others saw it as a chance to uncover something completely new, an unknown astrophysical phenomenon unlike anything ever recorded. Theories abounded, ranging from dense asteroid belts to collapsing dust rings, but none could fully explain the irregular nature of the dips. And then the strangest theory emerged. Some scientists began to consider an idea so radical that it bordered on science fiction. What if the dimming wasn't natural at all? What if the object blocking the star's light wasn't a planet, or a dust cloud, or a swarm of debris, but something artificial? What if it was a megastructure? The idea was almost too wild to take seriously, but it wasn't without precedent. Theoretical physicist Freeman Dyson had proposed decades earlier that an advanced alien civilization, one far beyond our own, might construct vast structures around their star to harness its energy. These so-called Dyson spheres or Dyson swarms could explain a star's unusual light patterns. If a civilization were in the process of building one, we might observe irregular, large-scale dimming, just like what was happening at KRC 8462852. The media ran with the idea. Headlines proclaimed the discovery of an alien megastructure, fueling speculation that Kepler had detected the first undeniable proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. Television hosts and internet forums buzzed with excitement and conspiracy theories. Was this the breakthrough humanity had been waiting for? Had we finally discovered evidence of intelligent life beyond Earth? Scientists, on the other hand, were far more cautious. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and no direct proof existed to support the megastructure theory. Radio telescopes scanned the star, listening for signals, anything that might suggest intelligence, but nothing was found. No transmissions, no beacons, just the strange flickering light of a distant sun. Still, the mystery persisted. Researchers launched further studies, trying to narrow down the possibilities. One potential answer emerged. Perhaps an immense cloud of dust, larger than anything ever seen before, was orbiting the star, causing the irregular dips in brightness. But for that to be true, the dust would need properties unlike any known interstellar material. Another theory suggested a shattered planet or moon, its debris field thick enough to partially obscure the star. But the data didn't quite fit. Meanwhile, KRC 8462852 continued to behave oddly, unlike other dimming stars, which tend to follow a pattern. This one seemed almost erratic, as if whatever was blocking its light was shifting unpredictably. This only fueled the more speculative theories. If it was a Dyson swarm, was it unfinished? A structure in progress, a machine operating on a scale beyond human comprehension? As the scientific community debated, the general public grew increasingly fascinated and divided. Some saw it as the smoking gun of extraterrestrial life, while skeptics dismissed it as overblown hype. Documentaries were made, books were written, and the mystery of KRC 8462852 became a subject of fascination across the world. Even those who had never before paid attention to space found themselves drawn into the intrigue of a flickering star, thousands of light years away. Years passed, and the debate continued. The star was monitored closely. More theories emerged, some natural, some more bizarre, yet none fully explained the strange light behavior. In 2018, new observations suggested that the dimming might be caused by an unusually fine dust cloud, but the mystery wasn't fully solved. No other star in the universe has been observed behaving quite like this one. To this day, KEC 8462852 remains one of the most baffling astronomical anomalies ever discovered. Scientists continue to study it, hoping for an answer. If it is natural, it represents an entirely new and unknown astrophysical process. If it isn't, then we may have just glimpsed something far greater than we ever expected. A civilization harnessing the power of a star, a colossal structure drifting through the cosmos, or something else entirely. For now, the answers remain hidden in the light of a distant sun. But one thing is certain: the universe is full of mysteries, and some of them defy explanation. One of the greatest challenges in studying distant planets and galaxies is their sheer distance. They are too far for us to observe in detail, leaving us with only fragments of the full picture. But in some cases, the universe itself is bringing us closer, whether we want it to or not. There exists a strange and powerful force in the vast depths of space, a gravitational anomaly so immense that it pulls entire galaxies toward it at incomprehensible speeds. Hidden beyond the dense plain of the Milky Way, in a region so obscured it has been dubbed the zone of avoidance, lies one of the greatest cosmic enigmas ever discovered. They call it the Great Attractor, a force of nature so massive that it bends the very fabric of space-time, dragging our galaxy and countless others toward an unknown fate. First detected in the 1970s, the Great Attractor was discovered through the observation of galactic motion. Astronomers realized that the Milky Way, along with the entire local group of galaxies, was moving at an astonishing 600 kilometers per second toward a seemingly empty patch of sky. But nothing visible appeared to be there. No single massive object, no bright cluster, nothing that could explain such an immense pull. It was as if something hidden beyond our sight was exerting a gravitational influence on a scale beyond comprehension. Galaxies typically follow the expansion of the universe, drifting apart due to dark energy. Yet our galaxy and countless others were defying this trend, moving toward an unseen point, with a force that could only be described as colossal. Scientists were baffled. What could be powerful enough to counteract the universal expansion? What lay beyond the Milky Way's dense plain that could command such an incredible gravitational influence? The answer, or at least part of it, seemed to be hidden behind an opaque veil of cosmic dust and stars. The Great Attractor was located approximately 250 million light-years away, in the direction of the Centaurus and Norma clusters, regions teeming with galaxies. The problem was that these regions sat in the zone of avoidance, making them nearly impossible to study with optical telescopes. But radio and X-ray observations began to penetrate the veil, revealing glimpses of something vast and ancient lurking beyond. As astronomers peered deeper into the mystery, they uncovered an entire supercluster of galaxies, what we now call the Laniakea supercluster. It turned out that the Great Attractor was not a single object, but rather a gravitational focal point, an immense concentration of mass, where thousands of galaxies were clustering together. The Milky Way, it seemed, was merely a speck caught in this enormous cosmic migration, dragged inexorably towards something larger than anything we had ever imagined. But that revelation only deepened the mystery. While the Great Attractor was undeniably massive, it was still not enough to fully explain the gravitational pull observed. Something even greater lay beyond, something more distant, more powerful, and far less understood. Beyond the Great Attractor, another even larger anomaly loomed, the Shapley supercluster, an incomprehensibly massive structure containing more than 8,000 galaxies. Was the Great Attractor merely a waypoint in a much larger gravitational funnel? Were we being drawn toward an even more immense structure, one whose full scope we had yet to comprehend? And then came an even more unsettling question: what happens when we get there? If galaxies are falling toward the Great Attractor, what fate awaits them? Is this a slow cosmic collision? Will the Milky Way one day be consumed by an unimaginably dense cluster of galaxies, its stars ripped apart by tidal forces, its matter absorbed into the endless churn of gravitational interactions? Or is the Great Attractor not just a cluster of galaxies, but something stranger, something beyond our current understanding of physics? Theories began to emerge, some rooted in conventional astrophysics, others more speculative, bordering on the unthinkable. Could the Great Attractor be a primordial remnant of the early universe, a gravitational relic left behind by cosmic inflation? Could it be the first signs of a hidden force, something beyond dark matter, beyond dark energy, something that shaped the very structure of the cosmos itself. And then there was the more unsettling idea, the notion that the Great Attractor was not just a passive collection of galaxies, but something far more active. What if, some theorized, this mysterious force was the result of a vast, unseen megastructure, an ancient construct built on a scale beyond comprehension? Could an ultra-advanced civilization, one that existed before the formation of our own galaxy, have engineered something so large, so dense, that it shaped the very movements of entire galactic clusters? Of course, the mainstream scientific community remained skeptical. There were more grounded explanations, after all. Large-scale structures in the universe were shaped by gravity and dark matter, forming a cosmic web that stretched across billions of light-years. The Great Attractor was likely just one node in that vast network, a gravitational sink, where mass had accumulated over eons. But still, the anomalies remained, the unexplained forces, the unseen mass, the motion that defied simple calculations. Even more haunting was the thought that we might never truly see the Great Attractor. Because of our position in the galaxy, because of the zone of avoidance, it remains hidden in shadow, detectable only through indirect means. It is a cosmic leviathan lurking just beyond our vision, shaping our fate in ways we do not yet understand. We are being pulled toward it, helplessly, inevitably, and we don't know why. If we could stand outside the Milky Way, millions of light-years away, what would we see? Would the Great Attractor be a sprawling cluster of galaxies, tangled in a gravitational embrace? Or would we see something else, something unexpected? A doorway, a singularity, a cosmic event horizon leading somewhere we cannot comprehend. The thought is both exhilarating and terrifying. What if, at the heart of the Great Attractor, there lies something no telescope can detect? What if, hidden within its gravitational grasp, there exists an answer to one of the oldest questions of humanity? Are we alone in the universe? Could the Great Attractor be a beacon, a structure meant to lure civilizations toward it, pulling them in over the course of eons, like a spider waiting in the center of its web? Perhaps one day, far in the future, long after the Earth has ceased to exist, the descendants of humanity, or whatever we become, will arrive at the Great Attractor. They will stand at the threshold of this massive enigma, and finally see it for what it truly is. Perhaps they will find nothing but an endless, chaotic sea of colliding galaxies, or perhaps they will find something that has been waiting for them all along. For now, we can only watch, only measure the pull of an unseen force guiding our galaxy across the depths of space. The Great Attractor remains one of the universe's most perplexing mysteries, a silent and unseen colossus bending reality itself. And as we drift toward it, caught in its gravitational spell, we are left to wonder, are we simply following the currents of the cosmos, or are we being led towards something far stranger than we can yet understand? That moment is billions of years away, far beyond our concern, but long before then, humanity will need a new home. With millions of planets scattered throughout our galaxy, the possibilities seem endless. But what if the answer lies much closer? What if we never have to leave our own solar system at all? Something stirs beneath the frozen surface of Ganymede. The largest moon in the solar system, even bigger than Mercury, has long been thought of as a cold, dead world, a place of ice and rock locked in the grip of Jupiter's immense gravity. But as scientists peered closer, they began to suspect that Ganymede was hiding something beneath its thick, frozen shell, something vast, something mysterious, and perhaps something alive. The first hints came in the late 20th century, when the Galileo spacecraft detected a strange magnetic field surrounding the moon. It was unlike anything seen around any other moon, a self-sustained field, something that in theory only planets should possess. More perplexing still, the field fluctuated in ways that suggested it was being influenced by something deep below the surface. Then came the Hubble Space Telescope's observations of Ganymede's atmosphere. Though incredibly thin, it contained traces of oxygen, not enough to breathe, not nearly, but its presence suggested chemical reactions were taking place beneath the ice, reactions that on Earth were often associated with biological activity. Still, it was not proof, not yet. The real breakthrough came in 2015, when NASA confirmed something stunning. Ganymede had an ocean, and not just any ocean, one buried beneath more than 100 miles of ice, holding more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. It was a discovery that changed everything. Suddenly, Ganymede was no longer just another moon. It was a world with a liquid ocean, a place where heat from the moon's core could mix with water and minerals from the rocky mantle. In other words, the exact kind of place where life could exist. The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. If Ganymede harbored an ocean, then it became one of the most promising places to search for extraterrestrial life in our own solar system. Astrobiologists, planetary scientists, and even philosophers debated the significance of such a find. Could life exist in a world so drastically different from Earth? Could it thrive without sunlight, surviving only on heat from the moon's interior and the potential chemical energy in its waters? And then in 2021, the Juno spacecraft made a flyby of Ganymede, and the mystery deepened. Juno's instruments picked up something strange: anomalous radio emissions, structured pulses that didn't match known natural processes. They weren't random. They repeated in a way that suggested organization, a pattern buried in the noise. Some dismissed it as nothing more than the interaction between Jupiter's powerful magnetic field and Ganymede's unique magnetosphere, but others weren't so sure. The signal bore an eerie resemblance to something terrestrial, the radio echoes produced by submarines communicating beneath Earth's oceans. Had something beneath Ganymede's ice been trying to speak? The reaction to this revelation was immediate and intense. Scientists rushed to analyze the data, searching for any possible natural explanation. The public too was captivated. Speculation ran rampant across the internet, with theories ranging from unknown geological phenomena to the first signs of an alien intelligence lurking in Ganymede's dark waters. For a brief moment, the world seemed united in its wonder and its unease. The European Space Agency's JUICE Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer was already planned for launch, set to arrive in the 2030s to investigate Ganymede and its neighboring moons in greater detail. But after Juno's findings, the mission took on a new urgency. Scientists began scouring old data, looking for anything they might have missed. What they found sent chills through the scientific community. During previous flybys, subtle but measurable shifts had been recorded in Ganymede's ice. Some regions had risen and fallen by small but detectable amounts, as if something beneath the surface was moving, rising up against the ice, then retreating. It was an effect not entirely unheard of. On Earth, similar movements happen in ice-covered seas, where trapped air, moving water, or geological activity create under-ice currents. But on Ganymede, with its extreme cold and thick pressurized ice, such movements should have been far slower, if not entirely absent. As these findings were made public, the scientific community found itself in a heated debate. Was it truly a sign of something alive beneath the ice? Or was it merely an unusual but ultimately explainable quirk of Ganymede's unique geology? The uncertainty left room for hope and for fear. Then, in 2023, an even more startling discovery was made. Analysis of past magnetometer data revealed something unexpected: brief but intense magnetic distortions near the moon's equatorial region. These fluctuations did not align with expected interactions between Jupiter's field and Ganymede's own magnetosphere. Instead, they seemed to originate from within the moon itself. A few researchers began to entertain a controversial hypothesis, one that, if true, would mean the greatest discovery in human history. What if there was something in Ganymede's ocean generating the signals? It was an idea both thrilling and terrifying. Could an alien biosphere exist beneath the ice, evolving in total isolation for billions of years? If something had developed intelligence, would it even resemble anything we understood? Or was this an entirely new form of existence, beyond anything Earth's biology could predict? Some theorists speculated that the strange radio signals could be the result of naturally occurring cryovolcanism, where plumes of water from the subsurface ocean periodically break through the ice and interact with Jupiter's intense radiation, creating bursts of electromagnetic noise. Others suggested an unknown form of hydrothermal venting, where mineral-rich heat from Ganymede's core interacts with the ocean in ways never before observed, producing patterns in the magnetic field. Yet, there were those who took the mystery even further. What if something was actively producing these signals, not as a byproduct of geology, but as a deliberate act? Some propose that deep-sea creatures on Ganymede, if they existed, might have evolved biological adaptations that allow them to emit electromagnetic pulses, similar to how some deep-sea creatures on Earth use bioluminescence. Could an alien form of communication be hidden within these signals, something so fundamentally different from human understanding that we had yet to decode it? Others went even further, speculating that if intelligent life had developed beneath Ganymede's ice, it may have constructed artificial structures, perhaps metallic or superconductive materials, that could interfere with magnetometer readings, leading to the strange fluctuations observed by spacecraft. The thought was unsettling. If life had taken hold beneath Ganymede's ice, it had done so under conditions unlike anything on our planet. It had never known sunlight, never breathed air, never felt the warmth of an open sky. It had only the cold, crushing depths and the strange electric caress of Jupiter's powerful magnetic field. And yet, something had disturbed the ice. Something had sent out signals. Something perhaps was waiting beneath the frozen surface. For now, there is no proof. Only anomalies. Only questions. JUICE and NASA's upcoming Europa Clipper mission will pass by Ganymede multiple times, scanning its surface, probing its depths, seeking answers to the growing enigma. Will they find evidence of life, a biosphere locked away beneath the ice, or will they uncover something even stranger, something that challenges our fundamental understanding of what it means to be alive? The world watches with bated breath, awaiting the next discovery. If life does exist beneath Ganymede's ice, then humanity stands on the edge of a revelation unlike any other. For now, Ganymede remains silent. But as our instruments become more advanced, as our missions push deeper into the unknown, one question lingers in the minds of those who dare to wonder: if something is alive beneath Ganymede's ice, does it already know that we're coming? While Ganymede offers the tantalizing possibility of life-sustaining conditions close to home, some mysteries lie far beyond our solar system, so strange that they challenge the very limits of astrophysics. Among them is a star that defies explanation, harboring elements that shouldn't exist in nature. HD 101065, better known as Przybylski's star, sits roughly 370 light-years from Earth in the constellation Centaurus. To an ordinary observer, it appears unremarkable, a faint, distant point of light lost among the endless sea of stars. But to scientists, it is an anomaly so extreme that some have even dared to question whether it is entirely natural. It was first discovered in 1961 by the Polish-Australian astronomer Antoni Przybylski, who immediately noticed something strange. The star's spectral readings, essentially the chemical fingerprint left behind by the light it emits, were utterly baffling. At first, scientists assumed there had been a mistake, an error in the data, or a problem with the equipment. But the more they studied it, the clearer it became. This star was not normal. Przybylski's star seemed to be lacking many of the common elements typically found in stars of its kind, such as iron and nickel. Instead, it was filled with heavy elements, rare, exotic materials that should have long since decayed. It contained actinides, including neptunium, plutonium, and even traces of einsteinium, elements so unstable that they decay in mere decades. In the natural universe, these elements are not supposed to exist outside of high-energy nuclear reactions or artificial creation. And yet, here they were, in a star, hundreds of light-years away. This should be impossible. Natural processes within a star's core do not create these elements. The heaviest elements typically found in stellar spectra, such as uranium or thorium, form in extreme cosmic events like supernovae or neutron star collisions, where immense energy forces atomic nuclei together. But the elements found in Przybylski's star don't last long enough to be remnants of such events. If they were created billions of years ago, they should have long since decayed into more stable forms. So where did they come from? One possible explanation was that Przybylski's star had somehow captured these elements from an external source. Some hypothesized that the star had absorbed the material from a nearby supernova or an unusual type of neutron star companion. But if that were true, then where was the remnant of such an event? There was no nearby explosion site, no evidence of a neutron star, no sign of any cataclysmic event that could have seeded the star with such exotic materials. Then, an even stranger possibility emerged. What if these elements weren't naturally occurring at all? What if they had been placed there? This is where Przybylski's star takes a turn from being just an astrophysical mystery into something that treads dangerously close to science fiction. Some researchers have suggested that the presence of short-lived actinids, elements that decay quickly and must be constantly replenished, could imply an artificial process. If the elements were not formed naturally, could they have been engineered? It's a question that haunts astronomers and theorists alike. If an advanced intelligence were capable of manipulating matter on a stellar scale, what purpose would this serve? Could Przybylski's star be some kind of cosmic laboratory, where an unknown civilization is performing experiments on nuclear reactions beyond our understanding? Or could it be an energy source, perhaps even a power plant, designed to harness exotic matter for some unknown technological purpose? If so, then who or what created it? Of course, mainstream science is hesitant to leap to such conclusions. The more conservative theories suggest that Przybylski's star might be an extremely rare type of app star, a class of stars known for their peculiar chemical compositions. App stars have strong magnetic fields that can pull heavy elements to the surface, where they become detectable. But even within this category, Przybylski's star remains an outlier. No other known app star exhibits anything close to the same level of exotic elements. Then, in an even more baffling twist, researchers discovered something else. Przybylski's star also appears to contain elements from beyond the periodic table, super heavy elements that, if confirmed, would challenge our very understanding of atomic physics. Some scientists speculate that these elements could be part of an unknown process, one not naturally occurring in stars. Could they be evidence of transuranic elements, atoms heavier than anything found on Earth, potentially forming in ways we do not yet comprehend? Or are they simply artifacts of some unknown stellar phenomenon that we have yet to discover? And then there's the most unsettling question of all. If these elements are artificial, does that mean someone put them there? The implications are staggering. An advanced civilization, one capable of stellar engineering, would have technological mastery far beyond anything humanity could comprehend. Perhaps they use Przybylski's star as a testing ground for manipulating matter at an atomic level. Perhaps it is a remnant of an experiment left behind by a race that no longer exists. Or perhaps, just perhaps, it is something more. A beacon, a signal, a warning. The discovery of Przybylski's star sent shockwaves through the scientific community, but it also captivated the public. People speculated wildly about what it could mean, from secret alien megastructures to remnants of an ancient, extinct civilization. Conspiracy theories flourished. Some claimed it was proof of extraterrestrial tampering, while others suggested it was evidence of a lost human technology, forgotten in time. The truth, however, remained elusive. Scientists were divided. Some dismissed the star's strange composition as an unexplained but natural occurrence, while others dared to ask the forbidden question, what if we are not alone? What if we have for the first time stumbled upon an artificial construct so grand, so alien, that we cannot yet grasp its significance? The mere possibility was enough to send ripples through the world of astrophysics. We have long assumed that if an advanced civilization were to leave behind evidence of its existence, it might do so in ways we could eventually understand: radio signals, megastructures, artifacts drifting through space. But what if the message isn't something as obvious as a signal? What if the message is written in the very fabric of a star itself? If Przybylski's star is artificial in some way, then we are staring at a puzzle left behind by something far older and more advanced than we are. And that raises another chilling thought. What if we are not meant to understand it yet? For now, scientists continue to observe, to analyze, to search for answers, but the mystery remains. Przybylski's star refuses to conform to our expectations, standing as a cosmic enigma in a universe filled with unanswered questions. Perhaps one day we will unlock its secrets. Or perhaps, like so many other great mysteries of space, it will remain beyond our reach, an anomaly lost among the stars, waiting for someone, somewhere, to finally understand its true nature. But if that day ever comes, if we finally learn the truth about Przybylski's star, will we be ready for what it means? Some stars challenge our understanding of chemistry and formation, but the mysteries of our own solar system are just as perplexing. This is proven by a planet that seems to have been knocked on its side by an unknown force. Something is wrong with the planet Uranus, the seventh planet from the Sun, an icy giant cloaked in swirling clouds of methane, has defied explanation for centuries. Unlike any other planet in the solar system, Uranus is tilted, violently, unnaturally so. While Earth and most other planets spin like tops, their poles roughly aligned with the Sun's gravitational pull, Uranus rolls sideways through space, its axis tilted at an impossible 98 degrees. It is a world forever skewed, its seasons stretching for decades, its very existence a riddle written across the cosmos. For generations, scientists assumed a simple explanation: a collision, an ancient catastrophe in the chaotic early days of the solar system. Perhaps a rogue planet, a wayward protoplanetary body, had slammed into Uranus with such force that it had sent the world tumbling onto its side, leaving it forever wounded, forever askew. But something never quite fit. The moons of Uranus, its delicate rings, if a collision had occurred, why had they remained in such orderly orbits? Why did some simulations suggest that a single impact couldn't fully account for the extreme tilt? And why did Uranus, alone among all the planets, seem to whisper secrets in magnetic fields that defied logic? The first clues that something stranger might be at play came in the 1980s, when Voyager 2 became the only spacecraft to ever visit Uranus. As it skimmed past the pale blue planet, its instruments detected something odd: an erratic magnetic field, wildly tilted like the planet itself, flickering on and off as if switching between realities. Unlike Earth's protective field, which aligns neatly with the planet's core, Uranus' magnetic field seemed almost broken, fractured in ways that didn't match conventional planetary science. The data was puzzling, frustratingly incomplete, and with no further missions planned, Uranus faded once again into the shadows of mystery. But the questions never disappeared. Decades later, as astronomers peered into the abyss with more powerful telescopes and reanalyzed old data, anomalies began to stack up. Something about Uranus didn't add up. The planet's interior was a puzzle wrapped in speculation, its core seemingly colder than it should be, its atmosphere strangely lacking the convective churn expected from a gas giant. And then there were the unexplained flashes, bright fleeting pulses of ultraviolet light detected in Uranus's upper atmosphere, appearing without warning and fading just as quickly. At first they were dismissed as auroras, mere interactions with the solar wind, but the patterns didn't match. The pulses were irregular, localized, as if something deep within Uranus was sending signals through its thick, frigid clouds. The more scientists searched, the more unsettling the mystery became. Then, in 2022, a team of planetary scientists stumbled upon something hidden in old Voyager 2 data, something previously overlooked: a brief but measurable disturbance, anomalous shifts in Uranus's magnetosphere that suggested an external force, something tugging, pulling, exerting influence in ways that couldn't be explained by the planet's known properties. And whatever it was, it seemed to be originating from beneath Uranus's cloud tops, deep within the frozen world itself. Some dismissed it as an internal quirk, an oddity of a world that had always defied expectations, but others weren't so sure. When they cross-referenced the disturbance with decades of telescope observations, a pattern emerged, one eerily synchronized with those inexplicable ultraviolet flashes. It was as if, periodically, Uranus was exhaling something into space, something invisible yet powerful enough to warp the planet's already unstable magnetic field. The implications were staggering. Could there be something beneath Uranus's clouds, hidden in the crushing depths of its atmosphere, or even deeper, within the icy mantle? Some theorists began to whisper of strange possibilities, of trapped reservoirs of exotic matter, of unknown quantum interactions playing out on a planetary scale. Others, more bold, suggested something even more radical. What if Uranus's tilt wasn't an accident at all? What if something had caused it, deliberately or otherwise? What if an ancient forgotten process, long buried beneath layers of ice and gas, was still unfolding, still altering the planet in ways beyond human comprehension? Then came the Hubble observations of 2023. As part of a routine planetary survey, astronomers had aimed the telescope at Uranus, hoping to capture new details of its enigmatic atmosphere. What they found instead sent a ripple of unease through the scientific community, a distortion, a subtle but undeniable warping of light near Uranus's equatorial region, as if space itself had bent slightly, imperceptibly, around the planet. It was an effect that should not have been there, a deviation too precise to be dismissed as mere instrument error. And when they compared the timing of the distortion to previous data, a chilling realization emerged. The anomaly had occurred at the exact moment Uranus had emitted its last recorded ultraviolet pulse. Speculation exploded. Was Uranus hiding something beneath its strange tilted shell? Some suggested an unknown form of planetary dynamo, an internal mechanism so alien that it mimicked artificial manipulation. Others looked to the extreme tilt itself, wondering if it had been the result of forces beyond the solar system, a past encounter with a dark, unseen entity, something that had left its mark on Uranus and vanished into the void. And then there were those who took the mystery even further. Could Uranus be more than just a planet? Was it possible that something lurked beneath its clouds, something ancient and vast? What if its magnetic field was not broken, but intentional? What if the ultraviolet pulses were not random but a beacon, a message encoded in a language yet to be deciphered? As the debate raged, one thing became clear: Uranus could no longer be ignored. Plans for a dedicated mission, long shelved in favor of studying Mars and Europa, suddenly gained momentum. NASA and other space agencies scrambled to draft proposals, desperate to send new eyes and ears to the forgotten world. Instruments capable of piercing its thick atmosphere, of mapping its magnetic anomalies in greater detail, of searching for the source of those strange flickering pulses. The mission is still years away. The answers, if they come, remain buried in the planet's icy depths. But the questions linger, gnawing at the edges of human understanding. Why is Uranus tilted? What lies beneath its frigid clouds? And most unsettling of all, if something is hiding there, something vast and ancient and watching, does it already know that we are coming? The universe is filled with mysteries, some hidden in the depths of space, some shrouded in cosmic shadows, and others lurking in the very forces that shape reality itself. The stories we've explored are just a glimpse into the strange, the unexplained, and the unanswered questions that continue to baffle scientists and ignite our curiosity. But the further we venture, the more enigmas we uncover. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, be sure to subscribe, since we will be unraveling even more puzzles from this world. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay curious.